Let me make sure this is working. Stop it. It has been a minute. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, the mic is working. Okay. It has been a fucking minute. I've been busy as shit, which is why I haven't done videos, or the videos I have done, it's been insanely slow. I've been going insanely slow, but that's just because I got way too much other stuff going on. So I finally got a minute. So what is going on? Okay, so here's what did I put down again? We got two incidences with the police. One with the Lexington having the racist police chief, if you've seen that, and then the other one with the Brandon Calloway over the stop sign and him running the stop sign and then speeding away, and then the police raiding his house. And people trying to justify that by saying, of course, the same old stuff that it's, well, basically, if you don't do what they say, you can do whatever you want to them. That old excuse. So we're going back to that. And then also, oh yeah, don't hire commies. I saw this happen twice already. So I don't know if you saw them, but multiple businesses, I think they're both in Portland, got shut down because they hired a bunch of commies. And you know what happens when you do that? They don't know how business works. So they essentially destroy it. So let me see. What should I do first? Where is it? You know what? Oh, yeah, there was that fight, too. I'm not sure which one to do first. You know what? I'll do the police second. I want to do this one first. Because that shit's darker. This is funny. This I want to do first because this is actually funny. So, I don't know how many people saw this, but where to get? No. But this is what the? Stop it. There we go. This was funny. In Portland, a lesbian bar got shut down because they weren't woke enough. That's actually not. I wouldn't say that's actually accurate. I would say, looking at it, it looks like the people they hired used that as leverage to get the business shut down. Because when you read it, it seems like that's not exactly what happened. Because I've seen this in LA. I've worked in small business, a decent amount. So I've seen people who do this and who have no clue how this shit works. And if you hire a lot of these types of people, yeah, your business is going to get shut down. But when I was working in small businesses, a lot of this shit wasn't going down yet. Anyway, Doc Marie's is a lesbian bar that opened on July 1st of this year with the hope of bringing more inclusivity to the city of Portland. But just 1 week after their grand opening, they were forced to shut down because of complaints that the bar was not a safe space. Yes, this was a similar story. This was Philly. I thought they were both in Portland. Okay, both of them, these two stories, I don't know if you saw the one about Philadelphia, but it's essentially the same situation, except the only difference was in Philly, the one in Philly, actually, no, there was no difference. They were basically the same situation. They used the same excuse. So you had the crowd on opening day was huge. Yeah, they were, no shit. So they were successful. All right, but the excitement of a new progressive hangout dissipated quickly within days. Doc Marie's found itself on the receiving end of accusations for not being inclusive for trans people and people of color. I don't know what that means. There's that old POC bullshit term. Anyway, despite the mask mandates being lifted in Portland, patrons accused the bar of not implementing enough COVID safety measures. Patrons also claimed that Dark Marie's had culturally appropriated art on the walls. And at first you're like, okay, this is just the woke mob eating itself, what most people would say. But then you read it a little more and you go, oh, okay, I see what they were doing. They don't give a shit about any of this. I guarantee you the people who were upset about this weren't actually upset about this when you read a little more into it. One TikToker said she attended the grand opening, breaks down the accusations in the bar. Okay, I really don't care what she has to say. Employees of Dark Marie's created an Instagram page to echo these concerns. They claim that the owners weren't proactive enough in creating a safe space and accused the owners of racism. The employees also demanded the bar host free opportunities for education, that's extremely vague, for the community. So then you see they formed a workers' collective, and they are demanding as a form of compensation that they basically they turned the business into essentially a commune, but the business wasn't started that way. Hey, how you doing? It's been a minute. I haven't streamed in a minute. It's been busy. Doing way too much. But I finally got a week off. So we are the Mari Equity Workers Collective. Is that how you say it? They are composed of the current employees of Dark Marie's. We only speak for ourselves, not ownership of the bar. Donk Brands? Okay. This is the only social media account affiliated with the MUC. I'm calling it that. We felt misled about the space being safe, welcoming. Our vision is a queer, worker-owned cooperative. See, there we go. That is ran democratically, provides mutual aid, and hosts free opportunities to our community. That's what this was actually about. Right here. That's what they actually wanted to do. They wanted to make the business a commune, but the business wasn't started as a commune, and they were just looking for an excuse to sort of scold. They wanted to scold the owners and guilt them using their politics into making it a commune. See, the reason you don't do this, because I guarantee you, like, these people couldn't make it on actual commune. Because I've known the actual, like, communes, the actual communists and the socialists in LA that actually have their own communes and stuff. They're like, some are in the city, some are right outside the city. And what they do is they vet people very carefully who they let in. Because two of them wanted me to join, but I didn't really want to do it. I had other shit I had to do. I didn't really want to do it. They had a farm out in, like, I think it was Topanga. But they set it up that way for a reason, and they vet people to make sure they work. Because I know somebody who did go there, and he was kicked off because he was lazy and he didn't do anything. This business was set up as a private business, and then they came in and tried to communize it. That doesn't work. And then, of course, because these young people, they don't know anything about business or how this works or how, like, anything works. They come in, they try to run it. They try to say they slowly democratically make choices for the business. They don't know the numbers about the business. They crash the business, and they don't give a fuck because guess what? They're just out of a job. But the owners, they're fucked. They're the ones whose name is on that lease. They're the ones who have to go bankrupt. They're the ones who got the loan from the bank. So these young people are just like, oh, I lost my job. That sucks. I've seen these people, they'll demand pays that the business is like, I literally do not have that money. So they'll go, we voted to raise our wage to like $25. And the business is like, I literally don't have that. So I can't. I don't know. I don't know how they take themselves seriously. I knew a guy who literally thought that I worked for a small business in, God, this was back in like 2008, maybe, yeah, around 2008. And the lady there hired me and one other person. And a friend of mine thought that as soon as we were hired, that the money should be evenly split between the three of us because what's it called? He thought she was just doing nothing and profiting off our labor. And I was like, no, we're there 8 hours like a day or so. I was there like 4 to 6, depending on the day, because I had school and stuff. This lady was there like 16 hours a day, working her ass off. And when I tried to explain that to him, he didn't get it. He didn't know that the owner actually works in the business too, even after they hire people. And I'm just like, yeah, because if the business goes under, I just lose a job. She loses everything. Those are two completely different things. I'm not on the hook with the bank. It's not my name on the lease. But it's funny because, like I said, these people would never make it on the actual commune. They would get kicked off because I've known these people. They're lazy as shit. They would get yeeted. See, eventually the employees demanded owners relinquish ownership to the bar and hand the business to them. It's not exactly how that works, but the owners were given a 24-hour deadline to adhere to the ludicrous demands. Yesterday, we presented a list of demands, including the owner resignation and relinquishing stake to the workers, which as of 7 p.m. has not been acknowledged despite being the past agreed upon 24-hour deadline. I guarantee you none of these people know any logistics about business. They're just idiots. But first of all, I also blame the owner because they hired these idiots. Why would you hire communists? Like, this is what they're going to do. This is what they do. Let's see. Just 5 days after the opening, the bar announced on July 6th that they had to close temporarily in order to address the cries from the woke mob for a safe and inclusive space. You should have fired everybody and just hired new people. I know that's a bitch, but you should have just closed down for a week, fired all of them, and just hired new people. You would have been fine. Because apparently it seems like, according to this, you were doing really well. But, okay. We hear you, and we're taking steps to ensure we can carry out our mission of being a proud, safe, and inclusive space for our community. We will be posting updates on our action plan shortly. I'm sure you will. That business is dead. Just like the one in Philly, they had to shut down and sell the business. Yeah, surrendering to the mob. Yeah, because they're going to... See, yeah, the bar remains closed with no plan to reopen. Yeah, they're going to go down. Unless they fire everyone and bring it back. It's over. They're entitled and tyrannical. Yeah, I don't know why a lot of these guys do this, because I'm like, you're just setting yourself up to not get hired a lot of the times. It's sort of like the people... Because I remember my friend... He was filling out an application for something, and he's like, he takes a picture to show me. He's like, look at this. They actually ask you for your gender identity and pronouns in the business or in the application. And I was like, I think I know why they're doing that. Because he thought they were going to be some kind of like crazy lefty business. And I was like, no, I know why they're doing that. In my opinion, they're probably weeding out who they don't want to hire, because if they see pronouns, they're going to be like, that might be an HR. That might be a HR complaint waiting to happen. Maybe. The small business. I was working for a game store. I was working for a game store back in 2008, 2009. It wasn't like... It was one of those small privately owned that had like retro stuff and everything. So not like GameStop or EB Games or AJ. It wasn't one of those. Actually, I think EB Games still exists. I think it's in the UK still. That's crazy. All right, let me go. Oh my God. So this I'm not surprised. And of course, nobody is fucking covering this. Nobody. And I'm not surprised. The left nor the right. Because, man, we got no friends out here. We got no fucking friends. Right here. This is fucking crazy to me. And there's a reason I want to do this one before Brandon Calloway. You'll see why. But this shit was enraging. Why did it scale it like that? Nope, that's not right either. That's better. I'll do that. Or you know what? No, that one's better. I think it's big. So this was crazy, dude. I'm not surprised. I'm just saying it was crazy that it was so blatant. So I don't know if you saw, but a Lexington police chief was busted after he went on this huge racist recording. He got busted going this huge racist rant where he brags about killing people. He brags about killing black people, referring to them as a hard R and everything, to a black officer. And I've seen some replies of, this was just one bad apple. It wasn't. If you actually read the story carefully, it was not one bad apple. They caught way more. It exposed way more that are still working in this police department. It didn't change anything because get this. When they were trying to vote to relieve this guy of his duty, they barely got him. It was a 3-2 vote. We're going to see the recording. It was a 3-2 vote, and one of the officers was black. So far, we've caught, according to this, I've counted 4. We caught 4 bad officers. Only one is actually getting fired. We got the police chief, the guy recording him, because he suspiciously released this way late after he retired, which means he knew about this the whole time he was there. So as far as I'm concerned, he's complacent. So that's 2 bad officers. And then we got the 2 that voted to keep him on. So far, that's 4 now. We got 4. And if you want to tell me that there's not more who know about this, what's going on, that's bullshit. They know exactly what's going on. And this one bad apple shit got to stop. I was right here.
A racially charged and expletive-laced audio recording leads to the firing of Lexington's top cop. During a special called meeting, the Board of Aldermen vote to fire Sam Dobbins. Arena Science Quentin Smith has details from that meeting and reaction from the community.
Lexington city leaders spent more than an hour in executive session discussing this issue. The board voted 3-2 to fire Dobbins effective immediately. It's a decision many say is a sigh of relief.
Terminate Chief Sam Dobbins from the position of Chief of Police with the city of Lexington.
This is the news that many in Lexington were hoping to hear.
Today, the community of Lexington, Mississippi received justice.
The board.
No, they didn't, though, because there's more officers like that. You just got a fall guy. Great PR for the... Which one? Oh, Uvalde? I should look at Uvalde again. I've seen all the new stuff that came out on Uvalde. I saw the insanity of Tatum defending it, even though his audience is going at him hard for it. This is why I said I don't think Tatum's a grifter. I think he's an ideologue, because grifters don't like to piss off their audience like that. He's just a status bootlicker.
Made its decision just days after former Lexington police officer Robert Lee Hooker released an audio recording from April. He says the conversation is between him and Dobbins, who at the time was his police chief.
Is anybody surprised that, of course, they all look the same? Like, all these cops are all like fat fucks. The ones who brag about getting violent are always like the ones who are the most frail or weak looking. They're always like fat and disgusting looking. The fact that you can be an officer looking like that is amazing to me.
Hooker accuses Dobbins of creating a stressful and toxic work environment.
I just got to the point where you're not doing the people right, you're not doing me right, so therefore let me expose you for what you are, who you are.
No. I don't believe him. Here's what I think he did. I think he didn't like him. I do believe that part. But he released it because he didn't like him personally. because he allowed this to happen. He allowed this to happen this whole time. He waited on these to release this. He waited to do this to him. So he allowed this guy, because don't act like, I don't want him acting like this is the first time he talked to him this way, because even as what he says here, this is a pattern of behavior for this guy. We're going to get into the recordings in a second. The whole recordings are like 9 minutes, but there's only like a few parts that are super relevant. And I'm like, he was talking to a black officer, and a black officer voted to keep him, to keep this guy on. So I don't believe him when he says, I got to expose you for who you are out of the goodness of my heart. Bullshit. Bullshit, dude. You just didn't like him. You allowed this to happen. And if you don't think there's tons of other officers that allowed this shit to happen, and not just that, but of course, black faces, which is what they love. They love this. Oh my God.
You are. And that's how it happened.
We obtained the audio. In the recording, Hooker says you can hear Dobbins using the N-word.
Let me explain something to you. Come on. You're going to get in some in the street. And there's only going to be one man fighting for you. All right? Yeah. And that's going to be me. Okay? Don't ever ruin that. All right? Because these other they'll let you fry. Okay?
As well as him speaking about people he's shot and killed as an officer.
I've killed 13 men in my career. Okay? Justified. Huh? In my career, I have shot and killed in the line of duty 13 different people. You shot so many.
See how he kind of brags about Justified? Right? Justified just means legal. That doesn't mean it was legitimately actually justified in context. When you look at the whole thing, but you know, you've seen how our court system works. It's easy to justify police. It's so easy to justify a shooting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Justified, bro. Okay. Ask around. They ain't gonna tell you no. Got a big corn shootout, man. A cornfield over there. Jimmy Dale Thomas, he worked it. Justified, bro. I shot that 119 times.
Why does it say he shot that man? In the actual tape, he says, I shot that N-word 119 times. Which I would love to see the context in which you can justify shooting somebody 119 times. Because let's just assume, let's assume you're using, let's say you're running a 20-round mag, right? What do you need 6 mags on one person for? Any context. Because no one's getting shot even 20 times, and they're still moving. So yeah, bullshit. But of course, yes, of course the court can justify it. That doesn't mean it's right. Legally justified doesn't mean correct. There was a lot of horrible things that were moral or legally justified.
Okay? I don't give a if you kill a with cold blood. Do it right.
I don't give a fuck if you kill a motherfucker in cold blood. Yeah, but we're gonna back the blue. I hope you know he's just not talking about black people. A lot of these cops, that's not what they mean. It's not, it doesn't end there. It usually starts there, it doesn't end there. This is why I said you got to be stupid if you're going to be those people with the thin blue line.
Do you hear what I'm saying? Yep. I will articulate to fix the problem. And I'm the only man in the business here that's smart enough to do it up front.
But that's not all. Hooker says Dobbins also made negative comments towards the LGBTQ community.
I don't talk queers. I don't talk. I ain't got nothing for you.
I saw the entire video, so this is again the alphabet having to make everything about them, even though they're he's literally bragging about killing, you know, the hard R's. I like how he says for YouTube, freaky alien genotype one time, and I like how that makes it in. As far as queers, I'm like, don't you call yourself that? But I still love, of course, the alphabet always got a way of trying to make it something about them.
Comments that many are calling disgraceful.
Once we heard it, we were just appalled. It's like, how can a chief, an officer, use that kind of rhetoric when you're sworn to protect and serve us?
You're like 100 years late, dude. Well, I guess you're lucky this is your kind of wake-up call, I hope.
After the board voted to fire Dobbins, investigator Charles Henderson was named interim police chief. We've reached out to Dobbins multiple times today following the board's decision. We're still waiting to hear back. Quentin Smith, 3 on your side.
So they did leave off on the vote. It was 2-3. So it was a close vote to keep this dude after this came out. And like I said, one of the guys who voted to keep him was black. So I really hate this fucking talking point of how can ex-cop be racist towards black people if they're black? All right? They'll use this with like people like Tatum all the fucking time. Because right now we got 2 black faces that put up with this so far. One defending it, and one at the least put up with it. That is insane to me. It's not insane to me, but it's insane to me that people still think that way. That as long as you have the black cop there as a shield. That's insane. 100 years later. Yeah, I know. That the cops talk like this and think like this? Hell yeah. I mean, we've had evidence hell over here of white supremacist gangs in the police. And just police gangs in general that extort people over here. Especially if you go to the valley. Fuck, you don't want to get stopped in the valley. Depends on what part of the valley you're in, but here. It's fucking crazy, dude. Like I said, I guarantee you there's a lot more officers who knew about him doing these things the whole time. And right now we have no investigations going into this guy's record. Because I would love these 13 shootings to be reinvestigated against this guy to see if they're really justified, because something tells me they weren't. I can't think of a reason you can justifiably shoot somebody 119 times. Any context. How are you going to justify that as self-defense? That sounds like there's some kind of level of hatred there. Just like with, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. His last name, Walker. I forgot his name. The guy who was shot at 90 times, he's hit 60 times. Even though he's on the ground, he's fucking dead already. And they keep shooting. And they're trying to just say, I feared for my life. I feared for my life. Bullshit. They wanted to shoot him too, because in that video, I was like, yo, they're out of range of a taser when they fired it. That was more than 10 feet, and he was moving away from them. I'm like, yeah, they wanted to shoot that kid. A lot of black people have been conditioned to think racist things are normal and okay. It's like the need who doesn't realize the cool kids are mocking him to his face. Yeah, exactly. Oh, the nerd. Yeah, exactly. They're conditioned. All of us try to get conditioned that the police are good guys and your friends. They're not your friends. They don't serve you. They serve the interests of the state. Your life is not in the state's interests. So they don't care. They get special legal protections that none of us get. And they can get away with a lot of this because the court will back them and juries will back them because they been conditioned that if it's an officer's word versus a citizen's word, the officer's telling the truth and the citizen is lying. And no matter how many times stuff like this is coming up, where's conservative ink, huh? They always laugh at all the arguments of the police have problems with racism. Where's conservative ink to go, oh, well, we got one. No, they're not going to cover this. How much you want to bet if it was a black officer saying like, man, fuck these crackers, dude. If a black officer said that, how much you want to bet that'd be all over conservative ink? But the second we'll have this dude bragging about killing black people, it's not even a story. Even left-wing media is not covering this. Because like I said, these Democrats, they don't care. They don't care about police brutality. They don't care about systemic racism. They don't care about any of these things. They just want a virtue signal. Because then when you have like clear instances of it, they don't fucking do anything. Democrats will fund the police further. Or they'll just completely try to like dismantle it completely, which is also something nobody ever argued. Yeah, it's gaslighting. But this is the purpose people like Tatum serve. As the black officer. The black officer to keep, as a cover. And I have more of the recording. They actually uploaded the full 9 minutes. What? Oh, the boozy badass video? No, go out. What you got, huh? Maybe you should go over the boozy badass video. That shit was funny. It's 9 minutes. I'll go over all of it, but there were some parts I found really interesting. Like somewhere in like the 6-minute range, I remember. If I remember, because I haven't watched this since yesterday. You stopped watching Conservative Inc.? What? Oh, whatever. I can get entertainment value out of it, but I just understand that everything I see is being framed, right? It's framed and manipulated. Because like I said, I watch everybody. I have a lot, like, when I work, I can have my phone on me and I can have my headphones in. A lot of times there's nothing to watch, and I just constantly want to consume information and media. So I'll listen to everybody. But Conservative Inc. is just doing their same old, nonsense. I haven't seen anything like uber egregious from them lately. I don't know if you saw, but Lauren Southern came out speaking out against them and what she experienced while she was involved with Conservative Inc. I don't know if you saw that, but she exposed, like, it's a long video. It's like, I think over 2 hours. She exposed, what was it, Tommy Robinson, Milo, and Paul Joseph Watson, which I wasn't surprised. You could kind of tell all of them were just actors. I guarantee you, if you got into the higher levels of Conservative Inc., people like Fox News, I will guarantee you, I will put down my life savings that, like, Tucker Carlson, Rachel Maddow, Brian Stelter, Greg Gutfeld, they're all friends. I guarantee you they're all friends outside of this. They'll shit talk each other on TV, but they're all friends and in this together. So I'm like, it's all a carefully curated narrative. Because I can see, like, I also watch the whole, I also watch the nonsensical lefties. Okay, I can pull it up real quick. Shark Week? I still don't know what Shark Week is. I don't know these things. I can pull up the video, the Lauren Southern video real quick. And she has receipts too. She has text messages and all that. There it is. Oh shit, it's 3 hours. Because I remember watching the whole fucking thing. Here, I'll show you in a second. Just I want to play this. I'm trying to find the part I was talking about.
When I came in here, you done took all your shit out, put it in that box.
Something fell over just here. Oh, it's my books. Where was it? It was, yeah, somewhere around 6 minutes. There was something interesting this dude said. This officer said. Their video player is garbage and not letting me skip ahead.
They ain't gonna tell you no.
What other say about you don't matter to me. I'm talking about me and you, baby.
I'm telling you, 13 people on my numbers, okay?
Yeah.
It was justified. I'm talking about man had a gun, man had died. Okay?
You and him. You and him.
Yeah.
Right.
Got a big corn shootout, man, the cornfield over there. Jimmy Dale Thomas, go up there and ask him. He worked it. Justified, bro. I shot that 119 times.
There we go. See, he didn't say I shot that man. He said I shot that hard R 100. 119 times. Also, listen to his logic. He had a gun, therefore he had to die. In what context did he have the gun? Right? Because I'm willing to bet this is like a Philando Castile situation. Right? And the fact that there is no investigation into this guy's record is absolutely fucking insane. Because it's not one fucking bad apple. As I've already pointed out, we found 4 so far. And you think that's it?
Okay? I mean, I saved 67 kids in a school. Okay? Yeah. The rest of my department, they faded out, bro. They got scared. I went hard, bro. I chased this across the field. You hear me?
Had to happen.
Oh, I got him. He was dead. He was DRT in the field right there. The vehicle was shot 319 times.
The vehicle was shot 319 times. I would really like to see the context in which he had to shoot the vehicle.
But he was hit 119 times by me.
Yeah, see, he says 119 times by me. Him specifically. Meaning, like I said, if I give him the luxury and assume he's got a 20-round mag, that means he just shot this. He put 6 mags into this dude. In what context do you need? And that's assuming he hit every shot. That doesn't sound like justified self-defense. That sounds like hatred. There's no reason you would need to defend yourself like that. You would do that if you had some sort of vendetta or hatred. That's what that implies. But officers get special protections. You know his good takes on cops? Trevor Noah? Really? I haven't seen Trevor Noah in a long time. I remember the last time I actually sat down and watched a full thing of his when he was doing stand-up, God, I don't know. This was a long time ago, 2012 maybe, earlier maybe. That's how long it's been. I really don't watch any kind of mainstream stuff that much. I mostly watch independent, not independent necessarily, but just non television based mainstream media. I don't watch them that much. They're too theatrical. Because I mean that they have to be. They're entertainment. They're not news. They can be entertaining sometimes, but
Okay. I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. At the sheriff's department, man, they take your gun, they put a gun back on just as soon as you're cleared, right?
Right.
So I was cleared before I was ever at the sheriff's department. When I was transported from the scene by the sheriff to the sheriff's department, I had a gun back in my holster before I sat down to see. Now, with that being said, that's me. Okay? That's me. That's me.
Right.
So it seems like this dude is a dangerous psycho. Oh, he did a video on Philando Castile? Okay, I'll look that up. Why are cops allowed to be scared? Yeah, fear for their life, but citizens aren't. Yeah, in California? Yeah, hell yeah, that's what it's like in California. They won't give you any excuse to defend yourself, no matter how fucking justified that shit is. They're always asking you, why didn't you do X, Y, or Z? Right? They assume it's because these people live in very very padded, cushy areas where there's not much. They've never experienced any kind of actual violence or never had to defend themselves ever. So they don't know what it's actually like to have to defend yourself or what. This is why they say words are violence. I'm like, anybody who says words are violence has never been punched in the face, has never been in a fight, has never lived in a dangerous neighborhood where there are gunshots going off. Fucking, you had to learn the difference between gunshots and fireworks. And then that's why they'll scream words are violence. And then they go and they make laws that make no fucking sense. When I was growing up, bro, there was an arms dealer in my neighborhood, and these people, and California is still heavily gun controlled. And I'm like, I could go down the block and get anything I wanted. That shit don't work. Right? But if I was denied a gun and then say living where I had to live, get something to defend myself, and I had to, I'm still going to jail because they're going to be like, why did you have that gun to begin with? I remember in California, if you want to conceal carry, when you have to have a reason, you have to have a reason after the shit happened. That's how stupid this crap is. Because this happened to my friend. He was living with roommating with a girl we knew who had a crazy ex, and the ex came back. The ex came back and broke in and tried strangling her. And fucking after he got chased out, the crazy ex did. The police were kind of like, they came down there and they told my friend, they're like, hey, now you have an opportunity to get your concealed carry permit. You might want to take that, opportunity. And I remember asking him, he's like, wait, you have to, because this is a while back, like you have to ask for a concealed carry permit after the violent offense has already happened? Like being in a dangerous neighborhood or being in an area where stuff like that can happen is not good enough. And they're like, no, it has to be after the fact. And it has to be, and they told him the reason you should do it now is because there's a time frame on that. Because if you wait too long, they're gonna say no. I was like, wait, hold up, what? Because they did that with me. They did that shit with me. They were like, yeah, you kind of got into some shit, had a gun to your head, but that was a while ago. And I was like, I was 16. I couldn't own a gun at 16. And they're like, yeah, but still, that was a long time ago. And I'm like, I'm living in the same fucking neighborhood. And they're like, no, I don't think you need it. It happened a long time ago. And I'm like, that is bullshit. Here, let me show. I found the video you were talking about. It is this is the video she did. This is the video about Conservative Inc. If you want to look it up, Sing. It was this one. Now, obviously not going to go over it because it's 3 hours. I would love to if I could, because a lot of this stuff, though, I wasn't surprised when I saw it. Especially, like, the least surprising one was Paul Joseph Watson. I was like, yeah, that you can tell he was that, because he's a manosphere type. And the manosphere, they're kind of, what's the word? I always say the blind leading the blind. That's how I explain the manosphere. I remember when I first found them in like 2010 or 2011, and I just remember seeing this and going, "What the fuck? This sounds kind of not only does it sound abusive, not effective, but it also sounds a little, there's like undertones of homoeroticism in here." I can get a concealed carry only if my friend is almost murdered. That makes sense. Yeah, exactly. She talked about, Lauren Southern talking about exposing Conservative Inc. Yeah, it's a good video. It's like, it's all shit. I was like, I already knew this shit was happening. I remember Paul Joseph Watson made Candace go mainstream. Yeah, she did. I remember that when she started promoting her as Red Pill Black. I remember that. The manosphere? Oh, they're omegas that want to be alphas. Yeah, I was like, bro, what? Like, I've seen their tactics and everything, and I'm like, that's not game, dude. That's just you being manipulative or like abusive. And then when that shit doesn't work because they're weirdos, they end up going, you know what, I'm just gonna go MGTOW. And then I'm like, that sounds gay. MGTOW sounds fucking gay. I'm sorry. I don't know why you'd want to get all women out of your life. Yeah, Clavin and Rubin. Yeah. I'm don't even know how they got Rubin mainstream. I mean, I guess I do, because the right all of a sudden just kind of like, they didn't care about the alphabet anymore. Which is funny, because I was like, they keep going like, we don't want kids learning about like homosexual relationships and stuff like that. And they shouldn't be learning about that young. And then they promote Dave Rubin. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. How's that working out for you? And whoever, when she came out and was like, white supremacy is not a problem. MGTOW is the way? Nah, bro. Women are great. If you keep getting bad women, that sounds like maybe that might be a you problem. You gotta weed them out. I don't use it that much anymore because I'm trying to be good. I don't want to be college me again. I don't want to do that. Right? I'm weeding out the fun girls. I don't want them. Okay, where is... Oh, God. Let's see. Where was... This was the next part. Where'd it go? No. That wasn't it. The Twitter ban. That wasn't it. Where's the Brandon? I was going to do Brandon Calloway next. Because that was fucking ridiculous if you saw that. Why is it not showing up on my list here? Ah, there it is. This one. I know, I said fun girls. I don't want fun girls. I'm trying not to be a degenerate again, okay? You talk about Marco Rubio's bill for child support from conception. I saw that. I got to read it, though. I haven't read it through, so I don't know if it's how dumb it actually is. Donovan Sharp's cringe red pill videos. Oh, God. I'll look at that after this. I don't even know who he is. I saw his name coming up in a few other videos from other people. And I was like, I have no clue who this nigga is. I was watching who was I watching? I can't remember. I just blanked out. I was watching a few people and I saw like in their videos, I saw Donovan Sharp said some stuff coming up that was cringe, and I was like, yeah, I don't know who this is, so I really didn't care. What if it's funny? And I'll look up Marco Rubio's bill. I used to like him, and then he kind of became like, eh. This is like a long time ago, like 2013-ish. Okay, so did anyone see the video of Brandon Calloway? There's this insane video that people are trying to justify. By justifying, they're trying to say, well, he did run from the police, and therefore, when you get to this step, it's your fault. I don't know where the slave mentality is coming from, but running from the police does not give them a free pass to do whatever the fuck they want. I don't know why. It's mainly the right that has this mentality, depending on who it is. Because I said after Uvalde, I said, wait till a black person is shot by police, back the blue will come back. What happened? The fucking Walker, that shooting, shot 60 times, immediately flipped back to back the blue, and I was like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. But here's the damn, they stomped on his head and shit. And then people are trying to go, well, he was resisting them, even, in his house. I'm like, in what context do you need to stomp on somebody's head? Because this is what these officers are like. So I don't know no, not the Instagram video. I don't need to see that. Let me refresh it, because this is crazy. So what he did was he ran a stop sign, sped 12 miles over the speed limit, and then ran to his house. And the police busted in the door, chased him into the house, that's already insanely reckless. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't just charge into the house right after and kick in the door and everything, because you don't know who's in there. You don't know. They don't know you're a cop coming in, right? You could get blasted doing that. And also, that person could, like I said, think, oh shit, home invasion, come out with their gun, and then the cops shoot them. And then they're going to try, and then of course they'll get away from it they'll try and justify and get away with it, as we've seen with things like Breonna Taylor. Why did my mouse go out? Whatever.
Second video begins as this video shows officers charge into the family home of Calloway. Their report says they had to kick in a door to get to him. You see them chase Calloway into an upstairs room where Calloway's attorney said he hid behind a couch and officers began tasing him. Stop! Stop! The affidavit from police said the taser had, quote, no effect on Calloway, so they used a baton instead, and the fight moves downstairs.
He has no weapon. Why are you chasing him? He's beating him and tasing him. He has no weapon, sir. There's no weapon. They're being aggressive.
The video then shows what appears to be a sheriff's deputy walk in.
No, you will not. Don't put your hands on me. Do not put your hands on me.
The affidavit picks up saying that the taser and batons both did not work and, quote, Calloway continued to resist arrest, but once in a bedroom.
The batons didn't work, I'm sure.
Look how they're doing it.
Oh, they cut it. They cut it right there. Yeah, because they proceed to throw him on the ground. He initially ran a stop sign. That's what caused them to ask him to pull over. He then proceeds to speed away. And by speed, I think he went 42 and a 30. If I recall, I think it says it here. And then ran into his house. So let me see. Attempted to initiate traffic. Yeah. So he ran through a stop sign and driving 32 and a 20. Sorry, I was 10 miles off. So he didn't pull over, kicking off a chase, and then he ran into his house. To which they say they then tased him and then, like I said, continued to beat him. They treat rapists better. Yeah. They get more benefit of the doubt, too. That's the crazy part. Should the police be involved in simple traffic stops or similar civic issues? Depends on the context. So I've heard many arguments against traffic stops. But people will say, hey, he should have listened. He should have, like I said, complied. Otherwise, whatever happens after that, justified. I'm like, that's not the officer's job is to deal with non-compliance with the least amount of force possible. That's what their training is for. If people just complied, we don't need police. Because then I'll just take my gun and go deal with it. Yeah, he went 42 and a 30. Or sorry, 32 and a 20. Yeah, I wonder why he ran. Almost like he was worried the cops mistreating or killing him. I'm not saying... I'm not advocating don't listen to the cops or run away or anything like that. I'm just saying if they don't listen, that is not a free pass to do whatever you want. And it just seems with one group of people, the benefit of the doubt is never there in any context, right? There were tons of people breaking COVID lockdowns and police were showing up with guns and arresting them. And I didn't hear anybody siding with the police then it was, oh, it's so good they didn't comply. But then when other people don't comply, it's anything that happens after that is your fault, which is literal slave mentality. That used to be the law. It used to be like that. There was a literal law that says if you would punish your slave for not obeying, and the ensuing punishment ended up killing the slave, that was considered legally and morally justified. And I'm like, that sounds the same as police. Yeah, but the way the cops treat people, yeah, of course it's going to scare people off. And then you'll get the Con Inc. types all saying how it's a myth, and if you just comply, you won't die. And that's not true. You'll hear all these stupid ass conservatives say that. And I'm just like, Philando Castile complied, right? Daniel Shaver complied. Johnny Hurley complied. He didn't even get a chance. Daniel Shaver complied. All these people did. And they're fucking dead. Hunter Britton complied. Christian Hall complied. And they're all fucking dead. So save me that fucking lie. I'm sick of that fucking excuse. I don't know how many times we have to see this shit. And the funny part is you see a lot of these same people are the ones who like scream stupid shit like 1776 and shit. And I'm like, what are you going to do? You're going to shoot at cops? Because guess what? If you want to be about that 1776 life, guess what you're going to do? That's what you're going to have to do. And anytime all you guys are suck off the cops. Oh yeah, Elijah McClain. That was another one. That one was fucking brutal. Because, oh look, he's wearing a mask and that's suspicious. And I forget the condition he had. But he had a condition, which is why he was wearing that mask. And because it was fucking freezing too. That shit was fucking crazy. Maybe I'm black-pilled on racism, police brutality. It is inevitable when you're at the mercy of someone who doesn't look like you, aside from the power that the police already have. Well, they have so many legal protections, they can get away with almost anything they want. And when you have that, of course, you're going to have people that exploit that power. There's no accountability. Not even going into just the history of racism in the police. I want Doug Ducey to pass gun control so the police can go to Tatum's house and take his guns. Tatum will get on his hands and knees and like present them to him like this. Tatum, and then we'll lick their boots. Yeah, Governor of Arizona. Sometimes I wanted some of these. I saw that Democrat gun control bill they proposed. When I read it, it was like it would basically ban almost everything. And part of me is just like the accelerationist black pill part of me is just like, you know what, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see who's about that life and who's going to get on their hands and fucking knees and just go, okay. I remember I was talking to someone because I haven't been on in a minute because I've been busy doing other stuff, but I was talking to somebody else, and it was about the farmer protests in Norway, and they're talking about how they were shooting at the protesters and all this stuff because they were, you know, like you saw the videos of the farmers over the it was the nitrogen emission thing, so they would have to kill off some of their crops, and they were going through those massive protests, and cops just shot at them, and I saw these like gasps in horror coming from like the Con Inc. types, and my question was, why aren't the farmers complying? Why aren't they clearing out? What happened to that just comply? Where'd that go? Because just comply only applies to a certain group of people. I don't see him pull that shit anywhere else. Which boot do you think is his favorite, leather or suede? I think he's a leather dude. I'm sure he has a cop uniform for Corinne too. He seems like that kind of person, and I'm sure they got a whip as well. You know that's true. I mean, he's so bad, like, he's justifying Uvalde. I don't know if you've seen that video of him, like, even with the hand sanitizer and the dude on his phone and everything, he couldn't even justify. He's just like, man, people who criticize this, I can't even. And then he falls back on his old arguments because he's not very smart. He tries to talk about how, look, I got a radio show and I got almost 2 million subscribers. And it's like, okay. And he did that with what's it called? I remember when he got into it with Amazing Lucas, and he kept trying to pull that, my channel's bigger than yours. I'm like, it's not an argument. By that logic, MSNBC is telling the truth, and they're right. But he's not an intelligent person. Like I said, he's the officer we just looked at. He's the black officer that voted to keep that Lexington police chief. That's his role. Because I guarantee you he's met cops that have talked to him like that. Right? And I'm pretty sure I can guarantee you they considered him one of the good ones. And they're totally fine with it. What are these comments? I'm curious. I watched the video. He ran in his car, hid in his house, ran all over the house, then fought when cornered. I didn't see any part where he fought when cornered. The taser was ineffective, as sometimes happen. He kept fighting, so he got taken down. He got his head stomped on. In what context is that? Do you need to stomp on somebody's head? Explain that to me. But see, there we go. It's just, he's not complying. Just do whatever you want to do at that point. Which is why I said, yo, the people showing up with actual rifles to stop anti-lockdown protesters and arresting them, well, then stop being a criminal. They won't need to bring the guns and the armored vehicles if you'd stop being a criminal. But that wasn't okay then. Did any of them use this on January 6th? Did you see any of these people talking about how Ashley Babbitt, who knows what she could have had in that backpack? She could have had anything in there. We don't know. The Capitol is being attacked. She could have had a bomb in her backpack. You don't know that. She could have Molotovs in there. We couldn't see her hands. Right? Where was all this for her? She was not complying. She should have known she's not supposed to go in there. Clear, she's jumping through a broken window. Where was this? Where was this pushback when it was her? Tatum needs to learn self-critique. I work in tech, and I know the impact of technology on society, negative and positive. Oh, I avoid so much tech. I'm a boomer. Like, outside of YouTube, I don't really use social media. All my social medias are basically abandoned. They were abandoned years ago, and I think I'm mentally healthier because of it. I stay off that stuff. Because all social media is a terrible, horrible place. You have to be intelligent to self-reflect. Also, you have to be humble. Yeah, Tatum is arrogant. That's insanely... He's insanely arrogant, and he's insanely dumb. I don't know if you've ever seen him debate, but he always shows up not prepared at all, and he keeps always going, well, I feel, right? He'll say, I feel, in my experience, and the other person will show up with actual data points and everything, and he'll just keep going, but in my experience, and like, nigga, no one cares about your fucking experience. Where are your numbers? Right? Especially because you're fucking biased as hell, and you've said racist shit all the time. Remember when he said, when it came to someone claiming something is a racist, he would never give the benefit of the doubt to a black person? Yeah. This is the guy you wanna defend? As a woman telling someone to comply and they won't, and you won't get hurt sounds super rapey? Yeah. And these officers have done that too. There have been recent instances of that. I forget when the last sex scandal was with police. It was about, I think it was like a year or two ago. The last one I heard about. Let's see more of these comments. His attorney is quite good at making him seem like he was the perp was a victim. However, the guy was observed and no doubt recorded running through a stop sign. Oh no. Jesus, don't come to my neighborhood. People do that all the fucking time. Driving 32 and a 20. Oh no, he was going 32 and a 20. Holy shit. What a criminal. The weak argument that he's clueless, why would you continue to pursue him when he didn't believe he did anything wrong, holds no water. The article further describes the video where a bystander tells him to stop resisting. This adds up to Calloway being a suspect, not a victim. Yeah, these are the people who suck off the state. Right? This is the mentality these people have. If you don't do every single thing the police tell you, that clearly means you're a suspect. A suspect of what? And I just hope these people know that all of you in the eyes of the law are criminals. Everybody is. All of us. They can get you on anything. They're trying to charge this man right now with disorderly conduct. That is a horseshit charge. Disorderly conduct is such a vague charge. Police basically give that to anybody they don't like. Like if you ever see someone who has bad interaction with police or starts getting mouthy with them, they'll often get hit with disorderly conduct. I'm referring to Tatum and his ilk being unable to see the concerns of the citizenry regarding the militarization of police and the unaccountability of the police and the unions. They don't want to, though. It's not that they're just unable. They don't want to until it affects them. And until, like I said, these people actually want some sort of change, we're not going to get it. But usually a lot of where the police oversteps its freedoms or its liberties, like where it oversteps into, stomping on people's liberties, historically, it starts out in black areas and then it spreads to white areas. But they're so good at being brainwashed by the state that they don't care. What was it, Arizona, where they were trying to pass that law where it's illegal to record the police within 8 feet? Why would you need that? Why would the police need more protections like that? For what? Those are questions I want answered. Why do they need that protection? But they don't ask these questions. The right will just go fucking back to blue. The right is so brainwashed, specifically, both sides are, but the right is so brainwashed by the police. They're legit saying after Uvalde that a good solution is to have police officers in schools. And I'm like, you mean the motherfuckers that didn't do anything? You think the solution is putting more of them in the schools? How's that make sense? I don't get, like, these people just have a weird fetish when it's the police. And it's for some reason an obsession and fetish with Black Death at the hands of police when it comes to the right. Specifically, because I've talked to these people and I've named tons of names of white people murdered unjustly by police, and they don't know any of their names. But they know George Floyd, they know Breonna Taylor, they know Amir Locke, they know these names, but they don't know Johnny Hurley. They don't know fucking Daniel Shaver, Jared Lackey. They don't know any of those names. I'm like, yeah, because you seem to have this weird obsession where it's black people killed by police. Then that's when you feel like you need to get up and say something and praise the police. That law passed? What? That's crazy, dude. And I know it was a Republican who passed it. I saw that. That's fucking crazy. They want, like I said, the state wants to make sure the only people who can record are them so they can make certain things disappear. Like the Leona Hale shooting and how the police were saying, well, we shot her after she pointed the gun at us. And like, can we see the body cam? No, we'll release a still with her with the gun in her hand, not pointed at police, and then call the witness who said she didn't have the gun when shot a liar, even though the police could have just released a still of her pointing the gun at the police, and that would have solved everything. That would have cleared up everything, but they didn't do that. And it's like, kind of suspicious. And then you want to trust these people where only the state can have the body cams. Yeah, so you can investigate yourself and found you did nothing wrong? Conservatives simp for law and order. That's why they love police. Many of them know LEOs and sheriffs personally in their small, medium cities. Yeah. They'll say all this sideways stuff all the time when it comes to police. It amazes me. They just can't make up their mind until the boot comes down on their neck. But like I said, the second another black person shot by police, they'll just forget what happened 2 seconds ago and go straight back to Back the Blue. I want to see more of these. For failing to stop at a stop sign. No, this was not for running a stop sign. This was because of all the things he did after running the stop sign. No, it was initially for failing to stop at a stop sign. So this started because of that. That doesn't also justify, that doesn't give a pass for the police to do anything they want to you. I guarantee none of this would have happened if they just stopped when the officers turned their lights on. If everybody just did that, then the police wouldn't really need to exist now, would they? Doesn't matter if you feel you didn't do anything wrong. If a person fails to stop at the request of a police officer, bad things are going to happen. Oh, there we go. There's the logic. If you don't do what they say, this is the slave mentality. If you don't do what they say, anything that happens afterwards is your fault. The police have no free will or any sort of restraint. They're just rabid animals. That's do what I say or I'll fucking kill you. Why do these people, okay, one, I want to know what these people mean, and why is people in quotes feel they are above the law? There's the racist white Republican. You know it's a racist white Republican who'd say something like that. I just hope you know, I still want to ask, where was this with Ashley Babbitt? I didn't hear any of this. But the issue is that these laws pass, but the issue is that those laws may have passed their enemies or passed by their enemies. Okay. These people are fucking crazy. How did the police do anything wrong here? Stomping on a man's head and kicking in the door to his house, recklessly, not knowing who is in the house, not announcing that it was the police. These are all things that are wrong. When did it become okay and reasonable for people to run and resist arrest? No one said that was reasonable. That doesn't let the police do whatever they want. But the police cannot chase and subdue a suspect with this without using less lethal to take control. A baton is less lethal than the next progression and force to continue it. That doesn't explain the excessive amount of force applied to him. I notice these people will tend to be their ex-law enforcement, and if they're not ex-law enforcement, you ever notice they're like fucking wimps? There's a reason for that. It's like these, oh my God. And the craziest part is a lot of these police get, like the vast majority of police have no hand-to-hand training. Oh, there it is. Oh, I knew it. There it is. Right here. Was it for running a stop sign and speeding, or was it continuously fleeing and running, not listening to instruction and resisting arrest? Before this gets tagged as races, I did notice at least one of the officers giving chase as a POC. There, what did we just say with the last story? I told you they get the black officer there, so that way they can use it to cover their ass, right? How could it be a racist event? I saw a black officer there. As we just saw, a black officer defending a guy who was defending a police chief, trying to keep him on, who was bragging about killing, quote unquote, N-words, the hard R, bragging about it, comfortably using the word to another black officer. I mean, these people are like, it's like these people that take the Clayton Bigsby sketch from Dave Chappelle, and you see a lot of these like white conservatives, they don't get what it was about. They were trying to claim that Chappelle was poking fun at the idea of a black white supremacist as being ridiculous. And I was like, no, the point he was making is that they exist, and that is in itself is fucking ridiculous. He was making fun of how ridiculous black white supremacists are, not that they don't exist. Sort of like how the right likes to play dumb with their white liberals hate white people, and then it's like, how can a black person hate other black people? They're black. Whenever someone goes after, like, you know, Jason Whitlock or Candace Owens, they try to pull that shit. Like, they just forgot the concept of self-hatred magically. But when it's white liberals, it comes back immediately. They remember the concept of self-hatred. So what was the... Oh, right. Do you want to say... what was it? What was it? Child support? What do you want me to look at? Child support at conception? Where can I find... Let me see. I want to find the, like, actual bill, not some media outlet. Oh, I found his press release. Let me see. This is his website. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio and Kevin Cramer introduced unborn child support to give mothers the ability to receive child support payments while they're pregnant. We should do everything we can to support American mothers and their children. This bill would allow expecting mothers to prepare their support for their babies before they're born. Caring for the well-being of our children begins long before the baby is born, begins at the first moment of life. Conception and fathers have obligations, financial and otherwise. During pregnancy, mothers should be able to access child support payments as soon as he or she is supporting a child. This bill makes it possible. Okay. No, I don't care about the co-sponsors. I want to see the actual bill. Okay, it's just 5 pages? Okay. Let me see. The Senate of the United States. Okay. Amend Part D, the Social Security Act to ensure child support for unborn children is collected and distributed under the Child Support Enforcement Program. Okay, be enacted by the Senate. Okay. Inserting unborn child. Okay. Provide the state will establish to enforce child support obligations for the biological father of an unborn child and subsequent to the birth of the child. To the mother, child provided that the mother requested payment of child support, such obligations. Okay. By the start of the date, such obligations may begin with the first month which the child was conceived, as determined by a physician. Should begin with the month if the mother requests. Payments for such obligations may be retroactively collected or awarded, including in the case where paternity is established subsequent to the birth of the child. The payment amount for such obligation shall be determined by a court in consultation with the mother, taking into account the best interests of the mother and child. Any measure to establish paternity of a child born or unborn shall be required without the consent of the mother. Any measure to establish paternity of an unborn child shall not be taken if the measure poses any risk of harm to the child. Okay, but what if the child is going to be given up for adoption? We're looking at Rubio's bill for unborn child support. Purposes by adding the end of the following for purposes of the paragraph, the term unborn child means member of the species of the Homo sapiens at any stage of the development who is carried in the womb. Matter preceding paragraph, striking in the case, inserting expert provided the subsection in the case of. The matter preceding subparagraph by striking in the case of and inserting excerpt. Okay. So we undertake. Okay, there's a lot of weird questions I have here. So what if she's going to give it up for adoption? Then what? does the biological father have to pay child support for just the 9 months? So now men can sue when a woman aborts her child without their consent. I mean, it's the logical conclusion of being anti-abortion. Usually you'd have somebody else take care of that. I personally don't really care as far as this goes. But then again, I'm like way on the pro-life side. Because I had to take a lot of time. The reason I don't really like the bill? Yeah, this bill's kind of fucking weird. This is really vague, and I don't really see how this is going to be enforceable or applicable. But the reason I haven't been telling them like Roe and stuff like that is I'm just like burnt out on the abortion debate. I've heard every argument. I'm just burnt out on it. I have not heard any good pro-choice arguments. They all have like huge holes in them that don't really make sense. Too many arbitrary lines in the sand, materialistic. It's either like, I don't care, eugenics, materialism, or arbitrary lines in the sand that don't make very much sense philosophically. Women can legally force paternity onto men, garnish wages. If women choose to get motherhood, then men get to choose fatherhood. I agree. I think it's either all one or all the other. So I'm totally fine with that. Child support should be for divorces. You don't think deadbeats should have to? Like, that's my question. If you personify the unborn, then the mother can get child support. That's fair. If you wanna ban abortion, but then say we have to do this, and I go, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that trade. I'm just saying this bill is very vague, and it's kind of weird that I'm like, how are you gonna like enforce this? This is weird. Because one of the whole arguments is, if you're going to be pro-life, then what about, people impoverished who can't afford it? And I'm like, if you want to do something to rectify that, 100% all in on that. That is completely fair. Now, what I don't like is stuff like when lefties will try to do the universal health care argument as in response. And I was like, look, that's a disingenuous argument because you're just trying to argue, you're trying to say, well, give us this or else this. And I'm like, but those aren't necessarily related, because why should I pay for your fat ass who doesn't take care of yourself? If you wanted to argue medical and child care expenses should be provided in like specifically in regards to pregnancy and childhood in exchange for like a ban on abortion, that's a fair argument. That's fine. I think that's an honest argument that can be had. But when you're bringing up like universal, I was like, yeah, you're trying to push something else in there. Don't do that. If you have accidental pregnancy, put her up for adoption, and babies don't cost anything in the utero, unless it's like it causes a health problem and then medical debt and all that. That can be a concern. The pro-life Democrats have been pushed out. Yeah, I know. I've even seen some pro-life Antifa. A couple. They do exist. Babies are babies. They're not personifying. They're about people. Every time this argument's going to blow up, because I've taken a lot of time to do a lot of reading and a lot of philosophical debate with myself on this to come to this conclusion. I'm not just like talking shit. I'm not one of these like conservatives that just sort of like talking shit about being pro-life, but can't philosophically back up what I'm saying. Because I did take a lot of time to try to like work through this. I'll support a national maternity leave bill for W-2 full-time employees. Like I said, I think that's fair because I'm just saying, as like I said, a more conservative libertarian, which is more so high emphasis on, it's like conservative values enforced through social pressures, not through the state. One of the exceptions, I'll be like, yo, if you want to say we abortion ban, but we have to have some kind of like state welfare. Well, philosophically speaking, if we're killing people, I don't see why you wouldn't take that trade. Philosophically speaking, I'm like, you're more concerned about a bit of a welfare expansion over lives. That's kind of weird, especially if you're saying we can't put a price on life. That's kind of a weird argument to make. To go, oh no, my taxes. I'm like, okay. There's Socialists for Life Twitter page. They believe abortion is violence. Well, my definition is, so there's multiple libertarian arguments for and against abortion. Yeah, seeing you're right. So, because some people are like, how does pro-life libertarianism work? And I'm like, well, it's simple. It's simple when it comes down to where your philosophy lies. Is it a life of conception? If it's a life of conception, it should have personhood rights. But if it have personhood rights, you can't destroy it. That would violate the non-aggression principle. And in that's a case where the state would be able to come in because it's regarding the right to, your right to life. Now, if you don't think that, then the libertarian argument for abortion changes, because then now you have to decide when personhood is, and a lot of that it's really arbitrary, and I can't get behind something where it's just a line that you just drew arbitrarily, not backed really by anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's somebody's life. I don't think you should take a gamble like that. Because I've seen some really disingenuous takes. Like, I know Nuance Bro had one. And I remember he wanted comments to try to refute what he said. I gave one, and I never got a response. Because I think he was saying, I think it was one he tried to give to Ben Shapiro. They were saying, if it's mass killing, would violence be justified in destroying these places? Would you be completely okay with that? Now, that's already a dumb question on his face. But I've listened to his argument, which was, I think his argument was brainwaves. And I asked him, I said, okay, do you support places in New York that do perform late-term abortions? Would you support, by your logic, support violence against them and, destroying them or anything? Because you're saying, why shouldn't you not, if these are basically death camps? And you think he was trying to do that whole, like, you would justify, violence against Nazi death camps. Well, and I threw it back at him and said, okay, well, you think it's brainwaves is the line. Okay, now what about the places that perform late-term abortions? Would you justify that and say that's completely justified to commit violence on? And I never got an answer. I'm like, well, come on, you got to answer your own question. You can't just fucking not. I was like, you didn't think about that part? Is abortion homicide or murder? If murder, what degree of murder is it? Louisiana wanted to pass a bill to penalize doctor and mother. Well, so that comes down to culture, because what we've done is we teach people that this is not something that's alive or has personhood. So the thing is, I don't think the mothers should be persecuted because they're essentially lied and tricked to a lot of the times. I don't see mothers that go, you have some of the crazy, like the fucking crazy lefties that stopped lying and just went, yeah, I'm killing kids, I don't care. Those fucking psychos. But I'm saying, like, a lot of them don't see it that way because they're told, that's not what it actually is. So they kind of like don't know what they're doing. So I don't think culturally we should be going after the women, but the doctors, yeah, they know what they're doing. Fuck them. And then they have those weird like exceptions. There are some crazies that make like these weird laws where it's like, I know there's the argue of the 10-year-old, but I remember that one and I was like, but wouldn't it logically, like they said her body literally couldn't handle it? I think that's a no choice situation. That is completely different. I don't like when people try to take like an outlier argument like that and then try to go, so therefore we should just keep everything legal. That's not a good argument. Now, of course, I've seen the pro-life crazies that are like, well, I guess you're both dying. Have fun. I'm like, that. I saw one woman say that once. Not literally that, but I'm paraphrasing. But I was like, okay, that woman's fucking crazy. That's dumb. But you have to go through like all these arguments. These are all like difficult questions you have to go through. And I've listened to all the pro-choice arguments. I just haven't heard a good one yet. They all just don't really make that much sense. Where was the... But yeah, this bill's kind of weird. I don't know how this is going to be enforced or what this is, but technically, yeah, you're right. There's nothing to pay for unless it came to maybe a medical expense. I can see that. But as of right now, it's skewed one way. It's skewed purely towards women right now. Women get the choice right now. Men don't. Either pick one, go in one way or go the other way. At this point, everyone should know it's killing a baby. They're lying to themselves so they can bear the horror of what they're doing. Yeah, essentially. So what happens is, why'd I just blank out? I mean, some of these people are like, you've seen a lot of people on the left just admit like, yeah, it's the kid, I don't care. And I'm like, that's horrific in your logic. Oh, okay, we'll get into this. Okay, so what do you mean by pro-birth or pro-life? Are you trying to argue... I need you to be more specific. Are you trying to argue that, like, if you're not for huge government expansions, then that's a pro-birth scenario? Or because I've already said that if it came down to some sort of maternal care or health care regarding pregnancy or anything, I will trade that 100 times. Because I was like, if it's people's lives, like, I don't care about a slight increase in taxes or something or a welfare program. As far as that, I don't care. I'm like, fine, let's do that. That's a fair trade. And as far as it comes to reforming adoption agencies and clearing house, I think they should be cleared house because those places are just fucking crazy. And I do not know why the state maintains them the way they do. And we might have to look into privatizing this because clearly the state's not competent enough to handle this. So I don't know if you want to like elaborate on the premise of what you're trying to say. If you're trying to say I'm for certain programs in exchange for abortion bans, because if so, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Because if it comes to people's lives, I'm not going to go, oh no, my taxes. I'm not going to be that crazy fucking libertarian. Where's the other? Yeah, let me know, because I've heard this, and when anyone says pro-birth, they all always mean something a little bit different, so I don't exactly know what that means. Or if you're referring to maybe the death penalty, I'm against the death penalty. I don't think the state should be able to kill people. Like, in terms of that, because they get it wrong too much. They kill way too many innocent people. Yeah, I do care about the quality of life after birth. I don't want people growing up in poverty and stuff. I don't think you should kill people because of poverty. But if you want to talk about something to make sure we alleviate that as much as possible, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be like, oh no, my taxes or anything. I just said I don't like the people who try to go universal health care in case of that, because I'm like, now you're including like some fat fuck who stuffs himself with processed food all day and he gives himself heart problems and saying I should pay for that. I'm like, no, that's different. If you want to narrow it down to maternal care and stuff like that, then fine. I'm fine with that. They say that if you're really pro-life, you should be for universal health care and free college, because being pro-life means you should agree with making sure the government making sure everyone is wealthy. Yeah, that's not a good idea. Many pro-lifers are pro-birth since they believe the death penalty and they want to pay less taxes. Yeah, I've seen those ones that they don't want any reforms in adoption. They don't want any sort of new welfare programs because they go my taxes. Although we don't really need to raise the taxes. Our tax where we're at right now is just horribly mismanaged. You know, hundreds of billions keep mysteriously going unaccounted for in the government for years. So the money's there. We just got to move stuff around. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I don't think you should be going like, I'm pro-life. Oh no, my money. That's more important. I'm like, don't you think people's lives are a bit more important than that? Because I don't get those conservatives that do that, where they'll say, okay, let's expand, free childcare, and they'll be like, oh heavens, no. It's like, well, come on, dude. If these people are lives to you, you'd rather be like, I'm not budging on that over someone's life. That doesn't make much sense. Because that makes you come across as kind of fake. And it's more so like, I'm on this side of the issue because this is my side of the issue, and not that I actually really sat down and tried to think about it and really philosophically try to break this down. I think when it comes to this issue, most people don't try to do that. I mean, also the free childcare thing, we could also solve some of that way. We don't have to keep pushing tons of women into the workforce and lower their wages. So we could do one person working. Sometimes, ideally, I would rather have a family that's functioning that you can live on one income, so you don't have to do free childcare. I'm saying if I don't have a choice, I can take that. I'll take that trade every time. Solution to public housing in Section 8. That's tough. That's tough. The reason I'm not a fan of Section 8, how it works. That's the crazy part. It's like, because it's crazy kind of how it works. It's not terrible, but I'm like, I'd have to think about that, because I'd have to really break that down. There's ways. It's sort of like there's ways to get rent prices down without having to do Section 8. I remember talking about this in California. It's like rent control. Rent control was a terrible idea. I have no clue who thought that was a good idea. It does help some people, but at the expense of a lot of people. So there's sort of like a Goldilocks zone for rent control. Because when I was in a poor neighborhood that was getting gentrified, I benefited from rent control. But I'm saying, when I looked at it, I was like, I am in the Goldilocks zone. That doesn't mean rent control is overall good. So I'm trying to met my bias of going, well, it did help me, but I was like, yeah, but I was like one of the few it helped. How about don't get pregnant? But hoes are going to be hoes. That's always going to happen. You're never going to convince a hoe to just suddenly be responsible. Unfortunately. Like, you're going to know those trashy women who are going to be like that. Ideally, yes. Ideally, that's what you want. But, I mean, There are some women out there that you're like, maybe you should be sterilized. I'm kidding. The demand is greater than the supply. Yeah, Section 8 housing takes like, I know someone who had to get into it, and it takes like years. It's going to take like 5, 6, 7 years. There was a homeless guy under my bridge. Great dude. I would go down there, hang out with him and his friends under there sometimes. It took him, I think, like 7 years to get Section 8 in Cali. I don't know if that makes me weird if I was that guy who's going down hanging out with the homeless peoples under the bridge. No, I loved them. They were cool. Maybe it's because I grew up in an area like right before I came to LA, because I lived in various neighborhoods. I lived in an area that was high homelessness, but it was very communal. So we were all friends with like all the homeless people. And we all help each other out. Especially since these are only available to single mothers. Section 8 is really a mess. I have to really go through everything and break it down to come up with like an adequate solution. I feel confident in actually saying, this is what we should do. Sex, like check in before sex. Is that like those consent apps that were like the dumbest things I've ever seen? I remember when they put those and it was like, why couldn't, if you were actually going to do that, why couldn't you just like sign it and then what if she opts out and you already have the signature? That wouldn't be a good result, but I'm like, that's not going to do anything. Those are stupid. Also, that's not how human interaction works. In 5 years, you could have gotten a job and saved. Yeah, but he was dealing with a lot of shit. I helped him out occasionally when I could. I was like, I'll get you food. I won't get you booze. Like, you got to get your own booze. I'm not going to get you booze. But he's a good dude. The problem with putting homeless people in houses, though, I will say the reason I don't like that, the way the people like your Jimmy Dores just say, all you got to do is put them in houses. That doesn't work. I've seen firsthand what happens to that. I've done work with the homeless. That doesn't work. Because a lot of this is mental illness. If you just take homeless people and put them in apartment buildings, that'll get condemned in a couple months. Because what's going to happen is it's going to turn into a drug den, a fire hazard. It's going to become infested with like bed bugs. Because I've seen this happen. Because you have, like they put mentally ill people there with no help at all a bunch of in these apartments, and it didn't work. The building just got condemned. And then they were all homeless again. Because it's like a lot of it, we have to address what's going on with mental health. I think like St. Petersburg had a good solution to homelessness where they had like, you can't sleep on the street, but they had designated camps where they had tents and they were like, I think 20 feet apart each. And you could sleep there. So you could have your own area. So it wasn't a shit shelter where you were all crammed in with a bunch of other people. And then what you do is if you do their programs there, they'll upgrade you to a container, like a small container apartment. And then if you continue going and you do their employment program, you can get low-income housing, and then they help you get out of the low-income housing and on your own. And that seemed to be working quite well. California is just like, California pretends they're doing stuff, but in reality, they're just going, just move them out the way. They'll come in and do a sweep in Venice, and it's like, they'll be back in a couple days. You need to build an app that will allow you to check in with law enforcement before you have sex. You need to indicate if the girl's filing or girlfriend or what type of contraceptive used. I'm sure the police would love to have that app and they wouldn't be abusing that at all. Homeland Security would love that. We'll see what Snowden digs up on that. Why is my nose itching? Stop. Whereas also, I had a couple others. Did you all see this? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Did you see this? This is slightly... Okay, I don't like how Daily Dot frames this because it's slightly misleading. So I'm not the biggest fan of how they frame this. But I don't know if you saw this, but I'm not shocked. Now, what it kind of says, it's a little misleading, but then when you see what it's in reference to, it kind of goes back to the main point. I got to show you what I mean. Why is my nose not stop itching? Fuck. But they were saying here that it's only when used in reference to someone's gender identity. Saying groomer should get you banned. And I can kind of get it because I've seen the right use that term incorrectly all the time. I remember I had someone on the right call me a groomer because all I said was there was some lady talking about getting ready for the fucking Civil War and talking about how you need to be physically, mentally, and financially prepared. And she was like 100 pounds overweight. And I just made a joke going like, yeah, you look real ready for a fight, lady. And then like someone else called me a groomer for some reason. And I was like, what? I was like, for what? What did I say? Because I called a lady fat. She was fat. A lady who was calling for violence, basically, or saying get ready for a civil war and get physically prepared, and she was fucking fat as hell. Some dude just called me a groomer for that. I was like, okay. Y'all weird. She says Twitter said to the Daily Dot that it bans calling people groomers based on their gender identity, but in practice, it often doesn't enforce this rule. So I'm assuming if I was to be as charitable as possible, what they mean is if you're calling somebody that based on the fact they're alphabet with no other context is what I'm going to assume. But we know with the alphabet, that's not exactly it. You were called a groomer for not buying Tim Pool's Civil War rhetoric. She was a Tim Pool stan too. And that's why I was like, not surprised. But I was like, all those people who are calling for Civil War, I'm like, you're not going to do anything. Please. Please stop. I see these people, the ones that are brave enough to put their pictures, and I'm like, you're like 100 pounds overweight. What the fuck are you going to do? And half of them, it's like women. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to do? Because if shit starts popping off, none of y'all grabbing your guns. Y'all going to be housewives again. So I'm like, I was like, please shut up. Like I said, all the people who are like, I'm ready for the violence, those are the people who get fucked up. Those are the people who either get fucked up or run away and don't know what, because they don't know what they're doing. All the people who have any sort of experience with violence are not the ones who are sitting there talking about how ready they are for the violence, right? They just think if it's coming, they're just quietly preparing for it. They're not running their fucking mouths, because those people who run their mouths are the ones who are going to run away first. Walsh did a stream on Twitter groomer ban yesterday. Did he? I think I saw like his thumbnail in passing. But yeah, you ever see those people? Because like right now I'm taking over as a boxing instructor, and like I'm not a boxer. I do Muay Thai, but like if you do Muay Thai, you can do boxing. You can teach basic boxing, and it's you see the people, they're champions on the bag, and then when hands come at them, right? They get all that confidence on the bag, and then when hands start coming at them, they freak out. All that confidence, it's gone. So that's what I'm saying. The people who were like very arrogant about they know what they're doing and everything, those are usually the people who get fucked up first. That's why I can't. So I said I can't stand fake tough guys who are all like, we're just ranting about how they're so prepared for the violence and they're ready. They're like, I wish a nigga would. It's like, shut up. You're gonna get yourself hurt. Although luckily none of my students are like that. I have all good students. All right, on Wednesday, Daily Dot reported that a subreddit post inadvertently intensified pressure on Twitter ban, calling LGBT people groomers. Grooming is a slur that falsely equates being alphabet with being a pedo. I will say the boomers warned us about this, and we didn't listen. I'm just saying, if you kind of look up the numbers about the alphabet and how they're represented when it comes to crimes and when it comes to kids, there is a severe overrepresentation there. And a lot of their fundamental arguments at the time that people warned about was that love is love and all love is valid. And I'm just like, where is the logical conclusion of this? Because I think most people can see where the logical conclusion will get eventually. And a lot of people just insisted, no, it's never going to get there. And I was just, okay, we'll see. I doubt it. And we've seen multiple times that the actual P's have been trying to get in the alphabet, and the alphabet's been pushing them out repeatedly since, like, I think the first push was like 2014, and the alphabet rejected them and said, no, get the hell out. And then they tried again, I think a couple years later, didn't work. They rebranded with maps with some success, but not really, because the alphabet caught on and was like, get the hell out of here. And then they tried again. They've been trying again recently, and now they're actually seeing some success. To which I'm not surprised. When the fundamental basis of your argument is love, and all love is valid, what do you think is going to happen? Eventually, this is where it's going to go. Do anyone remember when I think it was Snapchat had that filter that with a sticker that said "Love has no age"? I'm like, I can tell that's where it was going to end up. This is why we have kink at Pride and bring your kids. I'm like, yeah, since the 80s, that was like their whole identity. They focused themselves not around love, but around actual sex. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, Daily Dot reported that a subreddit post inadvertently intensified pressure on Twitter to ban calling LGBT people groomers. Well, that's weird, because what if they're alphabet, but they're also introducing sexual concepts to kids? That's then what? Are they protected from that? I would argue that they're going to. Let's see, grooming is a slur that falsely. Okay. Oh, that being a pedophile, the slur has roots in the term's original meaning, which refers to how sexual predators coerce and manipulate children in order to abuse them. Now, also, a lot of the blame of what's going on in the schools with kids does fall on the right, even though they don't want to hear that. But it's mainly because of how toxic a lot of their. Well, I shouldn't say toxic, but how passive they are. So you'll see this stuff happening in the schools, and then they won't do anything. They might go to a PTA meeting, and then they'll go up in front of the school and go, hey, stop it. All right? And then they put their kid back in that same school the next day, and they're like, well, I got to go to work. And I'm like, you're going to leave them with these people? I've seen some of the stuff they've got busted with, and some of them that actually got arrested. I'm just saying, if like I said, when I have a kid, if I caught someone doing that, you're lucky if it's going to be the ambulance showing up. Because I'm going, that's it. I caught someone doing that to my kid. That's night. I'm done. But a lot of these people go, hey, Don't do this again. All right, kid, go back to school. I gotta go to work. It's like, okay, well, it seems like you're okay with it because you're more concerned about your job than your kid. But I guess that, again, that seems to be something with white culture, because I don't see black people putting up with that. Same with Hispanics. I don't see them putting up with that either. I say the same thing about parents sending their kids to school. Yeah, they send the kids to these schools, and then when they find out this is happening, they send them back to the school and then go, well, it's because I have to work. So you're okay with this happening if you have to, because you got to get to your job? I'm like, man, white culture is fucking weird. Because I'm pretty sure some of these books, some of which are pornographic, if it was a black family that walked in, black parents walked in and saw some teacher showing pornographic books to their kids, I'm pretty sure they're not just going to get taken out of the school. I'm pretty sure they're not going to just take their kid out of the school. I'm pretty sure they're going to get a harsh reality check. But then again, we see this doesn't happen in black communities. Although they've been trying to spread that shit. It hasn't been successful so far. Well, some success, like I said, with the young black women, like Gen Z black women, it seems to have had moderate success. As far as anywhere else, I don't see it catching on there. We're committed to combating, abuse motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, particularly abuse that seeks to silence voices of those who've been historically marginalized. What is with the alphabet thinking they have been silenced all the time? Okay. For this reason, we prohibit behavior that targets individuals or groups then with abuse based on their perceived membership in a protected category. Use of this term is prohibited under our hateful conduct policy when used as a descriptor in the context of discussion of gender identity. See, but that's the thing. But couldn't that be used if they were talking about like gender identity stuff with children? And couldn't they say, if you called that person a groomer, say you're doing it because of based on gender identity type stuff? Because I'm pretty sure that's what Twitter would do. Amazing Lucas said that LGBT is white culture, but if you want equality, you go to their schools and institutions and adopt their culture. I believe he said the promotion of the alphabet, is white culture, which he's right. There's no other cultures that promote. I don't see any other community that is promoting any of this alphabet stuff. Not just in America, but over the world. It just seems to be white countries and white communities that are pushing up this weird sexualization and promotion of children and as adults and the alphabet. Black people aren't about this. Hispanic people aren't about this. Even Asian people aren't about this. I saw some younger lefties getting upset over something in Japan after Shinzo Abe got shot and killed. I saw some lefty complaining because in Japan, they're basically indifferent to the alphabet issues. Not hostile, not against, indifferent. And they're talking about how that's not good and they need to be proactively pro-alphabet. And they're like, just stop spreading your obnoxious white culture to places that don't want it. Japan goes hard on gender identity. I learned the other day, I was reading about like a Nintendo had a new policy for like gay couples that they'll get the same benefits as straight couples because gay marriage is not a thing in Japan. And then I learned that if you want your gender identity changed legally in Japan, you have to be sterilized. And I'm like, they don't fuck around, dude. They're like, oh, you alphabet? Okay, you're going to commit to this. Black lefties do it. Lefties or liberals? Because I've seen a lot of black liberals that ain't about this. But I've seen, like I said, it's the Gen Z black women. That's who I see it work. This has worked on. I don't see the young black men jumping in on this. I've seen the right try to promote young black men who do this. I see them promoting like people like Christian Walker. So it's not just the left. Rhode Island senator who is queer is a prime example. She lives in the state where over 88% white and brown, which is... Wait, are you talking about the one who's twerking? Because I did a video about that where I saw black conservatives and black liberals going, why are you acting like that? Stop. Like, it looks like you're just acting trashy. Stop. You're a senator. And then I saw many prominent black liberals going, yes, girl, you go. And I think it was Lucas pointed out going, all those white Democrats cheering her on, you won't see them doing it. They'll cheer her on for doing it. They won't do it. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I have seen Christian Walker promoted because they bring him on. Sometimes they'll alongside Herschel Walker. But Christian Walker is a fucking clown. This is why I'm like, can you really get super mad at Herschel Walker for him turning out to be a deadbeat dad with another child? Because I'm like, look how Christian turned out. Maybe it was for the best. His Starbucks orders. I remember seeing him being a fucking drama queen in the Starbucks line. I remember him screeching about how pride is a sin and yelling at the alphabet and everything. And I'm just like, I don't think Christian Bussy Warrior Walker needs to be lecturing other people on Judeo-Christian ethics. I saw the right cheering him on. I'm like, yeah. Let's see. We recognize we have more work to do to ensure this content is addressed in a timely manner, and we continue to invest in our automated tools to help people identify and address the gaps in enforcement. Let's see. They trained a groomer to see if it violated. What was this? Oh yeah, James Lindsay got like suspended. People listen to James Lindsay. I find him annoying. I cannot stand him. Let's see. Okay, after reviewing the available information, we want to let you know it's not against... Oh, yeah, that's the generic thing they send out. Let's see. Told the Daily Dot on Thursday that transphobia and homophobia increased significantly on Twitter earlier this year, in part due to the steady drumbeats of anti-alphabet rhetoric from the same large influential accounts. It's just like vicious trolling, especially against any alphabet person that was visible on the platform, and it's continued on. Okay, it's only gotten worse. She's had uneven success reporting tweets. Okay, but my question is, are they actually showing stuff to kids? Because I'm like, what is the point of Drag Queen Story Hour? Why can't you just why do you have to do it in drag? Why would you have to do it in drag if you want to read books to kids so badly? Why are my fucking... Sorry, my sinuses is burning for some reason all of a sudden. Why? Stop. Let's see. She said that the person who called her a groomer on Twitter was James Lindsay. Yeah, I cannot... find James Lindsay annoying. It's Lindsay stick. In fact, Lindsay takes credits for the exponential increase of alphabet people and their allies being called groomers. Not only do I call them that a lot and accurately, I think I started the trend. See, this is why I can't stand this guy. He's fucking arrogant and annoying and smug. I do not like James Lindsay. Lindsay insists he's not transphobic, homophobic. However, he defends the term groomer. I use it to apply it to cult grooming, thought reform, say into queer Marxist ideology. He calls everything Marxist. It's sexual predatory grooming, which is not identical but correlates. I will only call things what they are. I don't play games despite my own rhetorical savvy. God, this dude is pretentious. Wait, Lindsay provided no evidence that any of the people or entities he's called groomer, which includes the Trevor Project? Hold up. What? He said, okay, wait. A suicide prevention organization for LGBT youth are groomers, either sense of the term as he defines it. The Trevor Project? The pedo group. They're defending the Trevor Project. Okay. I mean, the person writing this I saw was a white woman, because that seems to be where this is coming from. Oh, man, white culture is fucking bizarre, dude. James Lindsay and Christopher Rufo are clowns. Yeah, I don't like either of them. Most of Con Inc. is insufferable. Some can be entertaining. You just got to know that they're Con Inc., so most of what they're saying is misframed and misconstrued. And if they're saying what the other side said, it's usually going to be the most extreme version of their argument that's not exactly accurate. But I was like, at least if you're going to be, a Con Inc. page shill, at least be funny. At least let me grab some entertainment out of it. Isn't the Trevor Project about Alphabet Youth? Yes, but they've also have tons of people in charge of it. The Trevor Project? Okay, so it's a group it's had to rebrand a couple times, but they've essentially promoted multiple occasions of, actually, here, I'll show you a video. They've promoted and defended pedophilia multiple times. That shit is fucking... Wait, let me show you. Because I think Shu did something on it. I remember a long time ago. So, because I was give you something you can go watch. So I don't have to like sit there and dig through all their stuff. If I can find it. I can't find it right now. I'll dig it up later. But yeah, they have a long and creepy history with being run by people who try to defend the peas multiple occasions. And I'm like, I don't know why you'd want to defend them, but okay. However, Lindsay may personally define the term. The vast majority of people understand the term groomer to refer to pedos and realize it's being used to demonize the alphabet. I think at this point, the right's calling almost everybody that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, personally. Because we've seen them do this. But again, I more so blame the right because they're so lazy. They'll go on. They rather go on Twitter and go "lol groomer" than actually take their kids out of the schools and stop, and stop doing this nonsense. But they're okay with it. I mean, like not okay with it, but they don't care that much. Because like I said, in their communities, I don't see them doing that much. Because I've seen this stuff happening in conservative areas. I'm like, yeah, because they're fucking lazy. Right? Enlistment falls U.S. military. Oh, yeah. Okay. There was that thing that a Reddit forum banned it too, but that wasn't exactly accurate. Proteza, yeah, I know about them. I wish I didn't. My sinuses are still burning like crazy. I wish I didn't, but yes, I know about them. And the P's have been trying to infiltrate the alphabet for many years, and I think they finally had some level of success. Because I remember when they first tried in like 2014, I think. I remember the first time they ever tried that. And they got yeeted hard. And now they seem to be like, Also, they kind of make that argument. I've seen those articles where they go, look, as long as they don't act on it, or they'll do the, what's it called? I remember seeing one article, they're like, saying like, look, as long as they go to proper therapy, so they don't act on a sexual urge they were born with, it's all good. And I'm just like, so conversion therapy works. Is that what you're saying? So with the P's, magically conversion therapy works. But if someone says, hey, you know, maybe you have these urges, but you don't have to act on it. No, you can't do that. There's no evidence that works. Yeah, they sort of try to infiltrate as, hey, we're just another sexual orientation. That's what they were doing. That's what they were trying. The whole, we're just born this way and we're just an alternative sexual orientation in like 2014. And they literally tried to do LGBTP, and the alphabet was like, get out. They immediately were like, no. They tried again, I think like a year or two later, didn't work. They rebranded to MAPS, didn't really work that time. And then they just kept trying different ways. And now recently it's kind of been like, they're becoming really lenient to that shit. So it's like, I think they kind of got in now. But I mean, but then we have to ask, how long was this going on? Because if you look at the stats when it comes to the alphabet and sex crimes against children, there is a huge misrepresentation there. And you gotta, I think what was it? I think Lucas caught shit on Twitter for pointing that out. He caught some big shit on Twitter for calling that out. Let's see. Oh my God. It's like I've had to sneeze for like the past 20 minutes and it's fucking killing me now. I mean, you see them saying kink at Pride and bring kids to Pride and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, they've been inching it this way. We were warned about this a long time ago. It's fuzzy with the gays holding approval of teen sex and helping youth discover their sexuality. Yeah, that's just weird, degenerate nonsense. But we kind of broke society when we started promoting that kind of stuff. We broke society a long time ago. But I more so blame social media because I think humans were not ready for social media. And now I know Gen Z, we're going to have a generation of really fucked up kids. You think the millennials are fucked up? Gen Z is going to be really fucked up. They're going to grow up super confused. Like, you got the little white kids are going to be super confused because their parents are doing this anything goes shit with their identity. You see some of these dumb parents going, let the kids lead in their own upbringing. And it's like, yeah, that's going to end well. And then you've got other areas where the kids are given social media at a young age and they're learning all sorts of stupid shit. And it's like, oh, we are going to have a really fucked up generation. And it fucks up men and women differently. I noticed that too, looking into it. Jonathan Haidt. Let me look that up. Oh, wow. This is a long video. Yeah, I think social media broke our brains, and I think China knows what they're doing. Hollywood's always been obsessed with coming of age stories. No, I just mean like social media broke our brains in so many ways. Like, here's my like conspiracy. I think here's my conspiracy that China is what's it called? Like TikTok is a weapon, is a psychological weapon. In my opinion, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, let me see. Well, if you were China and say you wanted to maybe slow the means in which a society can communicate, you can't slow the means of communication. This is just one aspect of something bigger. You can't slow the means of communication without a cyber attack or physical violence. We can't have that because there's no way we can win any kind of physical war. What if we just break their brains? Like, what if we just break the means in which they communicate mentally so they can't even communicate with each other through speech anymore? All right, just promote tons of stuff on TikTok. Chinese version of TikTok, it's banned in China, but they have their own version of it where it's like, where it's sort of like, they'll do this. They'll do, the videos of men on there are going to be like building warships, construction, doing city or other city jobs. Women, it's going to be maternal care, housekeeping, stuff like that. They banned that. There's no alphabet. Alphabet's banned. Femboys are banned, right? Butch women are banned. Any kind of mental illness talk is banned. China knows. China's like, no, not this shit here. We're not doing this shit here because that shit leads to the destruction of society. So they're like, well, let's just push it. We'll go push it in your country. And we'll promote your population to basically just become mentally retarded. I don't know. I just think it's a horrible place. But I think all social media, for the most part, is horrible. I don't think all of them are terrible. Like, I don't think YouTube and concept how it works is terrible. But like Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, I think all of those are terrible apps. You got a bunch of fucking isolated, attention-starved men that, is fucking them up. Men are not making connections with anybody, which is not good. And then women are getting these horrible image issues because everybody's using filters and other bullshit to make themselves look completely unrealistic. Which, my generation, we got social media late. I think Facebook wasn't a thing until I was 15. I was 15 when Facebook came out, I think. So I didn't spend that much time on it. I used like 15 to maybe like I used it from 15 to like 22, and then I was like, I gotta get off this shit. And when you first get off social media, it fucks you up mentally, right? Because you sort of develop an addiction, but then afterwards you're so much happier you got out. I remember MySpace too. I remember when MySpace was a thing, and I remember I was a little ghetto hooligan on MySpace. Okay, there's got to be a way to just like fix my sinuses because they're fucking me up right now. But I got the Jonathan Hype video. I'll probably watch that later. I mean, there's multiple videos, but I'll probably watch those later while I'm doing my market analysis stuff later at night. Now, where's had something else. But yeah, I tell people get away from social media. It's bad for you. off topic, but I keep seeing videos off-duty cops roughing people up. One just killed a kid with a water gun. Yo, what? Can you post the link in chat, or do you have to? You have my email. You can send it to me. I want to see that. I'm not surprised. Off-duty cops can get away with essentially anything they want. Like I said, they have all the legal protections on their side. Is it on? What's it on? If not, if you can't send it to me, tell me where to find it. I want to see this. Hold up. A lot of these videos, you know, you can't, I gotta find the whole story behind it and the actual case. Many cops don't know the law. Yeah, that's true. They'll just make up shit on the spot. They'll do the Tatum thing, where if you question it and go like, I don't think that's a law, they'll try to use their position as justification for what they say. I just saw the headline. You can't just read the headlines. That's how they get you. You got to actually read the whole story. Just sent it. All right, let's see. Let me pull it up. Okay. I mean, all right, here it is. This one, right? Let me see. New York corrections officer has been charged in the killing of a Bronx teen who was shot in the face. Jesus, dude. An incident where a toy gun featured in a recent TikTok trend may have played a role in his death. What did the water gun look like? Raymond Chausa? I don't know how to say that. Was found unconscious and unresponsive with a gunshot wound to the face. Yeah, I kind of think that's what happens after you get shot in the face. Fired by Dion Middleton, who was an off-duty in the Bronx intersection cross between Bronx Expressway and Morse Avenue. After the police found him in a friend's car about half a mile away from the scene of the shooting, Chalson was transferred to St. Hospital. Okay, so he was charged with murder, manslaughter, and criminal possession of a weapon. But what did I need to see what it looked like. I want to see what the water gun looked like. Attempted statement. If he's convicted, Middleton's been with the New York City's correction. Oh, God, this is New York. I forgot. New York is infamous for having the dumbest cops. According to the agency that works on the firing range, that's part of the academy. These are very serious charges. There's in no way a reflection of the officers who work to keep our city safe. Yeah, sure. He said the incident is under investigation. While authorities have not said what they think the motive might be, the investigators said they're looking into whether a bead blaster gun. Let me see. What does that look like? That's what they look like? That doesn't even look like a... What? Rashard Richie's his new, what's it called? The Young Turks Ben Crump. That's funny. Okay, hang on. Look at this. So I just Google searched the gun. This is what this shit looks like. What? Yes, that is true. Nobody likes to cover that. They'll love to grab the lowest of the lows, but they'll never grab the best of the best. They'd rather promote the lowest of the lows and say, that's you. But they won't do that with like trailer trash. That's crazy. So they mistake this. They mistake this. This little discount G36. I don't know which version he's using. I like this one. This one's nice. So what did they fire? Like just gel pellets or something? Or they're water guns. No, they said they're water guns. But did they actually fire like... I wouldn't be surprised if a cop got this and thought this was like a real gun. I would not be surprised. Yeah, that's true. You've seen Con Inc. and how they like to promote. They'll find the lowest ignorance of the ignorance and then just sort of promote it as that's a representation of us. Or they'll do something. They'll say something crime stats, and nobody can refute this. And they'll just call you racist and run away. And it's like, there's tons of people who can refute anything you say. You just won't have them on. Oh my God, why? Still on fire, dude. Okay, these are very serious charges. No way a reflection of the officers work to keep... Oh yeah, we read that. Bead blaster gun that was found contributed to the fatal shooting. The toy gun shoots water pellets. Yeah, okay, it does shoot pellets. Yeah. There's no evidence as of early Friday Johnson fired or aimed the toy gun at Middleton before the corrections officer shot and killed the teen. I was taking part in a water gun fight with some friends on a hot summer night. They were just having fun. It's a new Nerf gun that shoots water. They're having the neighborhood a water gun fight because it was 90 degrees at night. Fuck. It's like, no, thank you. I'll get to you a second. This would never happen. Candace Owens does never go into debates with anybody that is hostile to her. She only does interviews with people who are friendly, because anytime Candace goes into somebody who will challenge anything she says, she falls apart. So that would just be a disaster. Candace would never accept that, and she knows that. She got taken apart by Joe Rogan, who asked just simple questions. And who was the other dude who went up against her? Or she tried playing victim. I forget who it was. I forgot the dude's name. You have Jess Charles. What are your thoughts on black nationalism? Like a reparation of black people and capital to the South? Like a mini balkanization of the country? Oh, you mean like sort of like the ideas like you mean like early Malcolm, like kind of what he believed? like the pre-Mecca Malcolm. Sort of like we gotta have this separated thing. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. Because I'm trying to think, like I've heard a lot of black nationalists, and I'm really not like I'm not a fan of it. I don't see it viable in the long term. I'm more so like, I think we can understand each other and coexist no problem. Like the post-Mecca Malcolm. It's just that we have certain people in power that want to make sure coexistence doesn't work well. I don't think there necessarily needs to be a separation. Like I said, you got those people in power that want to prop up certain people. They would want to prop up like certain people that want to vilify one side, and then a lot of people who will not have experience with black people, they'll live in areas with low amounts of black people. Well, then they'll start forming an opinion off that and then make coexistence more difficult, or they'll defend police when it's against one group of people versus another group of people, which will then make coexistence way more difficult. And that tension is how they can exploit that for money and power. So I don't think it's necessarily impossible to coexist. I think there's people who want to make sure that never happens because it's a leverage of power. But like as far as building up predominantly black communities and everything or something, I think we should focus on that. This is why I try to make sure I go out of my way to try to use black owned businesses and stuff like that. I think we do need to build them up, but I also don't think we should completely like wall off everybody from everybody else. I just don't see that working in America, at least. That's because I like white chicks. I like all women, okay? I have dated women of literally every race, except I've never dated an Indian woman. I don't think I've ever dated an Indian woman. Other than that, I think I've got all the others covered. Don't hate on hood Beckies. Hood Beckies are fun. Like the white women from South Central, they know what's up. I still remember that. That was fun. Hood Beckies are cool. But they're what's it called? They actually understand that because they actually understand what's up because they live down there, so they know what's going on. Man, like I said, in LA, I think Lucas brought this up. He is right, man. You will find yourself a nice black woman, and she'll be all about the black empowerment and all that other stuff, and then she'll be on that alphabet kid shit, and you're just like, oh my god. Then you find a white woman's got really good, family values and everything, very socially conservative, and then she'll say some stupid shit like, they'll say some dumb shit like, well, I just think if they didn't commit so much crime, they wouldn't have so much trouble with police. I just think if their culture wasn't so violent, they'll say some stupid shit like that. And you're just like, it's hard. Let me see. Looks is too much. Blair White defeated her. Did Blair White push back on Candace? Because if so, I got to look that up. Because like most people who push back on Candace, she falls apart really easy. She's so flimsy. It's amazing how flimsy she is. It's because she contradicts herself every 2 seconds. And Candace is one of those Con Inc. people where it's like if you cross her, she'll try to destroy your life. Sort of like Milo did a similar thing. And Paul Joseph Watson did a similar thing. Where you cross them and they'll try to like hit peace and destroy you, as you saw what Candace did to Kim Klacik. It would be funny. It would it'd never happen. Unless they did like an ambush debate or something like that. But I'm not a fan of that. Oh, Amala? That's a sad story. It was like you went from left-wing ignorant to right-wing ignorant. That's kind of sad. But you know why they prop her up. Oh yeah, I read that. Listen. So primarily want her. I am caught in two minds about interracial marriage. No, I get it. I understand. It comes with a certain you have to have a certain level of awareness and navigation. You have to navigate it because you know you're going to have a biracial kid. And when you have a biracial kid, you have to be careful about how you raise the kid. Because if you raise the kid wrong, if you do this like lefty shit where it's like, let the kid lead, this is how you have kids having an identity crisis. Right? When you tell them they can be any gender they want and identify with anything they want, they end up having an identity crisis and they start going like, you know what, I'll just be gender fluid and start changing everything every 5 seconds. If you have a multiracial kid and you don't break down to them and give them that guidance, what's going to happen is they're going to try to desperately separate themselves from, if they're black, they're going to desperately try not to be black. Because if you give them no guidance, what are they going to see in media? They're only going to see negative depictions of black people, the most part, and they're only going to see positive and successful visions of white people. So naturally, the child, without that proper guidance, is going to try and make sure that half of them is not even acknowledged, or that part of them is not even acknowledged and it's rejected. Not realizing, yo, this is what you are. But they're going to be like, I don't want to be that. It's like, but that doesn't matter. Right? And what I mean is, like, you get what I mean, right? Like, I think Umar Johnson talked about this. Because I'm like, I never had that growing up, but I was raised properly. It depends. It's heavily dependent on how you're raised. So you can do it. It's just you have to be very careful. The problem is a lot of people aren't, and they just sort of not bring it up. And because of that, that's why you'll get a lot of you have a lot of mixed kids. You'll have the half black, half white kids really desperately trying to be like white and rejecting or smearing or bashing black people. And it's like, well, yeah, because you didn't raise them right. You got to give them that guidance to let them know where they're going. So, because yeah, it's like I said, representation is important. And if the child only sees negative depictions of one side of himself, he's not going to want to be with that side. He's going to say, yo, one side of me is just either rappers, athletes, hood rats, or criminals. I don't want to be. The other side looks like they can be anything they want to be. I want to be that. Not understanding, it's like, that's not how society's going to see you, though. Sorry, that's not how this works. You don't remember Blair and Candace shit show and Ruben show? No, I don't. I should look that up. I'll look that up. What's the date on this? Honestly, oh, this is 4 years ago. Think a lot of native suburban blacks go through that mix or not. That's why I mean representation matters a lot. This is why so many white conservatives don't know people like that. Black conservatives despise people, like I said, like Jason Whitlock, ABL, Candace Owen. And a lot of people, other people think Black conservatives are them because they don't actually get a voice or represented. Therefore, a lot of people will associate saying you're a Black conservative with coonery or something like that. And it's like, no, it's just because the people who are in charge of those platforms want to make sure the image of a Black conservative is basically a white person's hype man. That's sort of the thing. That's why I say if you don't have proper representation in media and in your views, and this seems to be something that's exclusive to Black people, because I don't see people like, do you ever see people like Drew Hernandez go up on TPUSA and shit talk Hispanic communities? I don't. Do you see any white conservatives that come up and just shit talk white people? Do you know any Asian conservatives talking about how much Asian communities suck? But there's tons of Black conservatives that talk about how much Black people suck. And there's a reason for that. Mom's example, she was used by the left, now she's being used by the right. She was mostly raised by her white mother. That's sad, man. She's half Nigerian and half white. That's sad, to be honest. I remember hearing about her and seeing her, and I was like, I just feel bad for her. I was like, it seems like you're just being used by both sides. One of those people that kind of have these, they really need like a sense of belonging somewhere. Because I've seen the old pictures, so I was like, so you went from being a tool of the left to a tool of the right. That's kind of instead of carving your own path. But hey, if you want to be, if you want to be honest, if you want to be a Black person in the political sphere that's honest, you're not going to get very far, to be honest. You're going to end up staying small. You're going to end up being a small channel. You're not going to get huge because, they don't want that. These both sides, left and right, they don't want the challenge there. They have a narrative. They want the narrative stuck to. Right. Because you'll see on conservative Inc. channels, you'll see, like I said, the same 5 Black conservatives over and over and over. You don't get to see people like Sonny Johnson or Maj Touré up there, like ever. And the few times you will, they'll be gone real quick, like with CPAC. Right? Because they'll piss off white conservatives, because when they realize, hey, those anti-Black talking points you have, they're not accurate. That upsets them. Right? When you want to go, here's why Black people don't vote for you, it's not because they're stupid or not brainwashed, it's because you guys come off as insanely racist. Here's why. They don't want to hear that because that makes them uncomfortable. They would rather go, no, it must be niggas are the problem. That's their logic. They don't want to accept any responsibility for the fact that maybe the way they conduct themselves is absolutely disgusting. They rather just say, no, I think they're dumb. It's the reason I dislike Tariq's anti-Black diaspora message. We're all victims of programming in the media. Yeah. They're very selective with who they put in the positions of power to be the spokesman. They very selectively, they didn't pick Tatum because he's intelligent or well articulated or he knows his shit. No, they picked him because they're like, oh, we can use him. He's dumb. We can use him to push the same old Black talking points that make our base comfortable. Right? This is why you saw that huge turn. This is why you saw that huge turn on Lucas. This is exactly what he did. Because I liked him before and after when he shifted. because I don't think he was ever a grifter. I don't know why people call him a grifter, because I'm like, what kind of grifter would destroy their own channel like that on principle? Grifters would never do that. You just notice, hold up, I think I've been lied to. And start pushing back on the mainstream narrative, and you saw how a lot of his white followers got extremely upset. The biggest black conservatives are all the raccoons with the anti-black rhetoric. But I said it's only with black people. You don't see any other group of conservatives. You don't see Hispanic conservatives or Asian conservatives or Jewish conservatives completely trashing their own. You only see that with black, quote unquote, black conservatives that are picked out. And then you have to ask why. Why does that resonate so well with their base? It's because this is why I kind of shifted from you have a problem with racism to you should more so say you have a problem with anti-black racism, because it seems to be black people specifically you have this issue with. You're not doing it with any other group. It seems to always be the same group. Because because I can tell whenever the closest you'll get is maybe Hispanic talking about the border. But notice they won't ever say Mexicans are the problem. Right? They won't say that. They'll say cartels and coyotes are the problem, which is a subsection that can apply to, anything. When it's black gangs, they say black people. They'll have a black face that says, this is the problem with black people. They do that on purpose. While all the biggest black liberals are all crying every day and alphabet afflicted. Yeah, it's like, even though black people do not promote or uplift, like black communities don't promote this alphabet stuff, they don't hate alphabet people. They just are like, we don't promote that here. We're not about that. We're more about tradition. Suspiciously, like every fucking black voice on the left happens to be alphabet of some kind. And it's like, that's kind of weird. Because I know for a fact there ain't that many. It's kind of weird that they're all like that. Just like it seems like suspiciously every mainstream black conservative does nothing but shit talk black people. It's just like, we got no friends out here. But like I said, I don't see them doing this to other groups. I mean, if somebody has an example, I'd like to see it, but I don't see other groups doing this. I've never seen either group recruit Hispanics that hate Hispanics or Asians that hate Asians. I say this as a victim of media brainwashing. I think everybody had their boomer media phase at one point. I think everybody at one point had their boomer media phase where they sort of were they didn't really question things a bit too much. They sort of you know what? Yeah, okay. Did you see the New York Times? Oh, the one that they were referring to her as they called her a far-right Latina because she was just very socially conservative, like most Hispanics are. And there was somebody else who was calling her a fucking fajita or something. And they're some white liberal calling her a fajita or something racist like that. Yeah, white liberals turn their filter off when you don't do what they say. They keep the filter on as long as you're doing what they say, and then they turn the filter off when you start not doing what they say. This is the right just doesn't have a filter, period. But I was gonna say the right, they didn't have that filter, but the left, it was with Clarence Thomas when he said maybe we should revisit gay marriage and tossing that back to the states, and being against it. I was like, that's a position most black people agree with. But then you saw white liberals calling him the hard R and Uncle Tom and all this other stuff. even though he took a position most black people agree with. Thomas Sowell is huge on YouTube, but his audience is mostly white. Yeah, I'm mixed on some things Sowell says. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty spot on. Some things I'm like, that's wrong. Claude Anderson is mostly suppressed. Really? Claude Anderson's got some good shit. I'm reading his books right now. I got to do Powernomics. I haven't done that one yet. I'm on Black Labor, White Wealth right now. Joy DeGruy is another good one. Joy DeGruy is also another good black author. But yeah, Claude Anderson, man, I'm not surprised he's suppressed. Why does it feel like I've needed to sneeze for like 30 fucking minutes? It's annoying me. My eyes are starting to water from it. Yeah, the lefty. Yeah, when you don't do what they say, the filter turns off. That whole supporting black and brown voices, that disappears with the quickness. They passed the same-sex marriage bill in the House. I'm not surprised. I saw at least the somewhat principled conservatives actually angry about that because there was so many conservatives sided with it. And I think that's completely fair. Claude Anderson and Thomas Sowell are mostly free market capitalists, but they have very different audiences. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about that because right now I'm working with right now I want to do something because I'm working with a big time, like a big time high roller day trader investor, and he's teaching me like algorithmic secrets for day trading, so you can basically win, you know, the vast majority of your trades and everything. And I'm like, I want to learn as much of this as I can, and maybe see if I can do some kind of class on this later, because I think in black communities we need to learn investment. It's a really important skill I think we need to have. It's not taught anywhere. It's something you're just like not taught about, but it's a really powerful way to build wealth. Maybe I can do like videos on it or something. I don't know, because if they cry about anything, they get a bill. That's how it works. All they got to do is shed one tear and they get bills. We'll get murdered in mass and nothing will change. I was happy seeing that many black men defended Justice Thomas even when they didn't necessarily agree with his opinions. Yeah, I don't agree with all of his opinions. But as far as when I read his Supreme Court decision, I was like, that's pretty base. I was like, I had no problem with that. Because I was like, I think it's fair to revisit those things and send them back to the states. Nothing wrong with that. I saw white liberals or black liberals that were cool with Clarence Thomas. Even if they agreed with it or disagreed with his take, they were still cool with it. I just saw a lot of white liberals going off on him, calling him all the like worst things you could hear. But I'm like, yeah, that's not surprised because he's not doing what they say. So their filter turns off. And then they say how they really feel. And then I'm like, and now they sound just like the conservatives. They sound exactly the same because they are the same. It's the wolf and the fox. It's what Malcolm X warned us about. He's like, they both hate you. Just one pretends not to hate you. Where's the... I lost it. Yeah, they were codifying it at the federal level, but it doesn't make sense because by definition, it's not a thing. So they're just changing definitions, which I'm not a fan of. And there's multiple arguments against it. So the more conservative argument would be like, Or the libertarian argument would be the state has no business in marriage, but at the same time, it is a specific thing, and that's not what it is. So you can call yourself that, but that's not what you are in reality. You have the more conservative argument is the state needs to be involved in marriage and enforce this because marriage or the family unit is the basic political unit, and the state has a vested interest in preserving it because, the purpose is child rearing and, the next generation, which you need to maintain your country. So if you're going to steel man the liberal argument, they could say that unit still functions, but they would just have to adopt or surrogate children. That would be the steel man to their argument, essentially. Marriage is secular with significant benefits. I'm not a fan of the stuff like the tax credits and stuff. I'm not the biggest on that. I'm not the biggest with the state being involved with it. But at the same time, I don't even think it should be. I don't think it should be secular. I know it predates religion, but in this country, it's different. The concept predates religion. But it's fundamentally not what it is in this country. Just a certain thing, hang on. Civil unions without state approval, like polygamy, can't claim benefits. If you want to go that route, have fun. I mean, I'll think you're a degenerate, but, if you want to be a degenerate, just don't fucking harm kids. Yeah, they do. That's true too. Well, yeah, because they have a vested interest, right? Because they got to maintain societal functions and keep society running. So, of course, the state has a vested interest in the individual. The state does want to push you towards engaging in certain behaviors and dissuade you from doing other things. And they want to, do all this stuff from day one. Not a fan of it. I'm not saying this is the ideal way I want to go about things. I'm just saying this is the more so the reasoning. Problem is when the state gets too big and they have all that, involvement with you all the way up till this, then it starts to become tyrannical and controlling. The argument is that God established marriage when he was created. There's multiple arguments. The more secular argument would be just literally that's not its purpose. It'd be the purpose specifically is by definition man and woman to, have potential to create children. I mean, potential or possible or intended. I forget the word I'm trying to think of. But the problem is, the argument doesn't work in the way we secularize our government, which is weird, which is kind of weird because we were never, we tried to secularize the country, but we're not. We're still fundamentally not. Like, I haven't seen many actual people. Marriage actually does predate religion. There's actually instances of marriages and cultures that are, or I should say pre-Christianity. There are instances of marriage. I'm saying as an institution in the US, it is though. I lost my train of thought because I was looking at this. Oh, you're getting fucking drowsy. I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Yeah, that's what the founders wrote. They said the creator or whatever, or natural. They did that on purpose because, freedom of religion. So they didn't necessarily say God, but that's what they believed. They said your natural rights come from God, but they also say you could say the creator, or, if you believe the creator is nature, then these are natural to you just in the natural world. That's what they meant. As far as separation of church and state goes and all that stuff, a lot of people don't actually know what that means. No, I was not. I'm saying not many people I actually see know what that actually meant. And that was I believe that was in a letter from Jefferson. But that whole separation of church and state thing, a lot of people don't understand what that actually meant. I think the only person I actually see, I think Knowles is like the only person who's brought up who actually knows what the separation of church and state means. Because a lot of people say you can't ban things on the basis of religion. We literally do that all the time. Our government's morals are based on religion. So, like, what I mean is, like, when you say you can't ban other people's religious practice based on your religious practice, we do this all the time. So if an extremist, the more extreme sect of Islam, like someone say a Muslim from the more extreme sects in the Middle East, came over here, like a group came over here, and they said, okay, we believe in honor killings, that our religion says we can do this and we should do this. All right. If they came to the US, you would say no. You would say, no, you can't do that. That is morally wrong. We don't allow that here. Why? It's their religious practice. Well, because we've established it's wrong based on our governmental rules, which are based on Judeo-Christian values and religion. That's us imposing. It's our country, and we're saying we're banning your religious practice due to our religious background and the way we're set up and our religious morals. So we do ban stuff like that all the time. Yeah, so that's one of the things. Yeah, I was like, I think the only conservative that actually knew what that meant. It didn't mean you can claim something as a religious practice and then do it with full protections. That's not what that meant. Yeah. I don't think Alchemist said give up though. Yeah, if we're gonna move into that, yeah, we're totally fucked spiritually. Yeah, the church does have very, very little influence in politics anymore. Some people would argue that's good. It depends on your view. But this whole, like, I understand what you mean, Alchemist, by saying we're completely secularized. But it's like we are and we aren't. We're trying to secularize, but we can't actually do that. But both sides are trying to make sure we can as much as possible, but that's never going to happen. And sort of like we have that fight going on right now between both sides. And as much as I can't stand dumbass Tim Pool, he is correct when he said, I think right now we have this thing going on with fucking people with a Judeo-Christian moral framework versus no moral framework. He is right about that. Like, we just have this complete group of people that don't know where their morals or value came from, and they think they kind of just showed up. And so theirs like kind of fluctuates all the time and makes no sense. So you'll get the new age secular people, and their morals just change whenever it needs to change. Where they draw certain lines, that shit changes all the time. It keeps fluctuating. And I'm not saying the people with the Judeo-Christian moral framework are perfect, because they violate that shit all the time. I'm just saying these people seem to have absolutely none or know where anything they believe comes from. It just seems to be all relative, and they change on a dime. Which I think is a dangerous mindset to have have your morals be very very like liquid like that. Yeah. But the thing is, they can't fully become secular because they still hold on to that framework and just in some way possible. But they've been trying to dissolve it. That's why I mean they're trying to. That's why they can move all the time. To go, we'll say objectively this is wrong, and then 2 seconds later we'll be like, but in this case it's kind of right when we do it. Oh, okay, no, you know what? Now it is right. Now it is right to do this, even though last week the narrative was it's wrong to do this. I know, but I'm saying generally our framework is Judeo-Christian. It's both. It's a little mix of both. It's not raw Christianity. I know the worldviews are different. I am very familiar with it. The also thing is, I will say that the ultra-secularism does make arguing more interesting. Although, there's a reason I don't bring up spirituality. I don't make my arguments from religion unless the other person is also religious. If we're both operating from that mindset, then I think it's valid to bring that up. But if you're not, then there's no point in bringing it up. Because then you're just arguing with someone that's like, I don't believe that, so there's nowhere we can go from there. So it's like, okay. But it's always like, I don't know what. It is true that for some reason, anytime you'll see like the arguments against certain topics, it tends to be the left who keeps bringing up religion. But then it's weird because the way they defend Islam all the time, and I was like, I don't think they know Islam is also an Abrahamic religion. Like you could throw the Old Testament on the table, and the Jew, the Christian, and the Muslim will be like, yeah, correct. And then you throw the New Testament on the table, and then shit goes down. There's the Jews going, Moses is the guy, and then the Christians, no, Jesus is the guy, and then you got Muslims like, nah, Muhammad's the guy. Which funny, yeah, I was like, I don't think they know that they all stem from the same first books. I don't think they know that. I think it'll go farther than that. I think it's going to go farther than the LGB, and then the trans is going to be the final. I think it's going to go farther than that. I think it's going to go to Two-Spirit. I think it is. They're going to get to the P's. They're already on the P's. I think they're going to push harder for the P's to get involved in the maps. I think they're eventually going to try to get to transhumanism. We're just going to, I mean, we're kind of already getting to that. Yeah, transspeciesism. Yes, I'm aware. Well, it's because the mindset they're in is purely it's a constructivist mindset of you construct your own reality. And so when you have that constructivist worldview, why not? When you kind of have this, well, reality is merely what you perceive, well, then why not? And Mormons are like Joe Smith. Oh. I agree to achieve equality. What do you mean exactly? Oh. Gender is oppression. What, because the genders are unequal? Unequal doesn't mean lesser, though. Like, it's just like men and women are different. They have different advantages and disadvantages over each other. And that's fine. The problem is then there was this whole movement to turn women into men, and it just kind of doesn't work. Because it seems like all of the feminist types, it's like when you kind of ask them to go into depth with something, it sounds like what you want is to be a man. You don't want the responsibilities of being a man, but you want the privilege of being a man. Technically, race is a little more complicated, but it was a way to categorize people that the Europeans used. That one's a little hazier. Age was created to exploit kids. They're already saying that. They're already kind of arguing this. The maps. This is like literally what they're arguing. They'll try to do that. Well, they're mature for their age. Right? How can we just put an arbitrary age number on maturity? Right? They're already doing this. I want to be a man. Your shoes suck. Yeah, there's benefits. But I'm just saying the whole like, whole like women's empowerment thing and all that. They was like, it doesn't sound like you kind of want to promote femininity. It sounds like you just want to be a man. And I'm like, how's that working for you so far? Because so far, men seem to be doing fine. You're becoming more miserable. And then I was like, okay, like, all right, real talk. As we proceeded this, at first, when I remember seeing people saying repeal the 19th Amendment, I was kind of like, I don't know. I think it's fine. And then I see that it's like this huge erasure of like women and everything is mainly being voted upon and promoted by women, and they're hurting themselves. And I kind of think it's funny. But I'm also seeing like, maybe I see why the 19th Amendment was a mistake. I'm like, oh, it seems like when they vote, they seem to destroy themselves. I'm kidding. I feel for the women that don't want part in this nonsense. The women who voted for it and then are mad when it happens, that shit's hilarious to me. Like the women bitching about Leah Thomas, that shit's hilarious to me. The women that played, competed against Leah Thomas and lost, and they're complaining, that shit's hilarious to me. I'm like, why did you choose to play? You chose to play. You chose to support this. Okay. You chose to support it. Herefore, you can't complain when you lose. And they don't want to speak out against because they're like, well, we'll get canceled. But at the same time, this is unfair and unjust. And it's like, okay, you know what? Destroy yourself. That's fine. But the women that don't want to be part of it, I feel for you. That fucking sucks. The hard left worldview is an oppressor dynamic. Well, yeah, it's part of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of CRT. I do understand like the basics of it, and there is accurate history in there and how the law was used to specifically oppress Black people, but I don't like it's very always constant white versus Black framing. I'm not the biggest fan of that because they're really open in the intro to CRT books. The ones I've read, they're very open, saying like, yo, a lot of this was based on Marx and Antonio Gramsci. And I can see it in there, the way they try to kind of frame the Black versus white dynamic. But they also do have a lot of stuff that's historically accurate in there about how white people, historically oppressed Black people, even to the present day. But when they get closer to the present day, now they're starting to turn like every Black person against like every white person, where it's dividing that line like that. I'm not a fan of that. That's where I'm like, you lost me. Like I said, when it comes to CRT, my view is a bit more nuanced than sort of the rightoids or the leftoids. I'm sort of like, I don't hate all of it, but I don't like certain parts of it that are clearly Marxist in nature. I don't like those parts. Borders were created to exploit the global South, hence abolish borders. Yeah, essentially, this is their arguments they make. This is like, I've seen all these arguments. They're just like abolish everything. Everything is relative. Nothing is truly, concrete and solid. Everything is fluid. I'm like, I don't think you can function in a world like that. And as you can see, they don't really function that well. They can barely communicate with each other. They're constantly canceling each other over shit that was totally fine to say 2 seconds ago because they're changing the rules constantly. There is no solid rules. This is why what one argument will be 1 second, it'll completely change the next second, right? It's really weird though. That's why I'm like, they can't define men and women. How do you have a functioning society that can't do that? China knows this is why they ban this shit. Russia knows this is why they ban this shit. I'm not saying ban this shit, but I'm just saying they understand this shit's toxic and they don't want it spreading. I remember even when the whole women's empowerment type stuff was starting to spread from the U.S., because a lot of stuff that spreads from the U.S. eventually goes to Japan. And my teacher, my Japanese teacher a while back, she was telling me how she lived there in the 70s and how that started to hit. It started to hit in Japan and it got completely rejected and fell apart. It completely fell apart because I remember it caught on there. And what they were trying to do is this: we should be just like men. So it's kind of hard to explain, but in the language, there is feminine and there's masculine, and you don't cross the language. You don't cross the gendered language unless there's exceptions, like you're quoting somebody or you're like telling a story from another person's perspective, or otherwise if you're trying to insult somebody, you can do that too. But what happens, I remember the women started speaking in like masculine terms, which is what she told me. And ended up what happened was that shit got thrown out real quick because none of the women could actually get jobs because nobody wanted to hear masculine speaking women. Because everyone said it came off as intimidating and it was off-putting. And then that shit died off real quick. And now I got another friend who's saying, yeah, it came back. Younger friend. She's like, it did come back. And we have a lot of women now who are like, pushed into their careers and they're 30 and they're like panicking because they don't have a kid, because you're supposed to get married with kids a lot younger there, but it's been starting to get discouraged. So it seems like it got rejected on the first go around, and the second go around not so much. Was a woman, I know, birthing people and people with uteruses. And who gave us that? The academics, because you have to be college educated to be that stupid. It was the academics that gave us like female penis and shit like that. Which is just amazing. Which you'll see those men. I'll go, all right, you go suck the female penis and then say, I ain't gay though. Go talk about how you ain't gay after that. You'll get those straight men that'll be like, it's totally possible to have a female penis. And like, you suck it. And then say that was totally straight. That was completely heterosexual. It's dehumanizing to turn everyone into like genderless blobs. But they're only doing it to women though. That's the weird part. They don't really do it to men. Did anyone else notice that? You don't really see it much with men. You don't really see an erasure of men. You see more so an erasure of women. Someone said the right views things as discrete while the left views things as continuous. Interesting. That. Oh, look at that. I just want to know, where's the end goal of progressivism? How far do we go? The end result is eventually going to be anything goes. I think as things ramp up, eventually it'll just get to anything goes. Whatever the next extreme is, there'll always be one to top it. I mean, hell, we're already at the P's, man. We're trying to normalize them. We're getting to the point where they're trying to normalize the P's. Yeah, I was looking at women's stuff the other day, and all the language was like "person with vagina." It's so insulting. Talk about erasing some. But you never hear like people with penises. You'll hear female penis sometimes, but you'll never hear like people with penises. I don't hear them ever say that. They always do this in response to women, but it's mostly women doing it because social contagions affect women more. Because before this became this huge social contagion, transgenderism mostly was male to female. It's mostly men trying to transition to women. And then once it became exploded with this huge social contagion, it flipped. And now it's skewed heavily women transitioning to men. And I feel bad for the young people who are like in their teens and their really early 20s who are like getting all sorts of they're putting all sorts of nonsense in their body. I'm like, because some of that shit's not reversible, and they're going to get older and either be like sterilized or they're going to have permanent modifications they can't turn back. And we are going to have a generation of angry, fucked up kids. White kids, because I don't see black kids doing this. Apocalypse is the end goal. I think their end goal is just anything goes. And I just don't think that's going to work. Eventually, there's going to be a hard traditionalist backlash, because from what I've seen, that tends to be what happens. Eventually, people will snap. LGBT talks about denying their existence when they're literally bullying women into non-existence. Yeah, I noticed, because they don't do it to men. I'm always like, it's weird. So I was like, this always seems skewed one way. I never see it going the other way. That's the funny thing. Because like I said, when this gender stuff started, it seemed to be a lot of women that just wanted to be men. But it's usually women promoting it, hurting themselves. The ones who promote it and then hurt themselves, I think, is funny. The ones who don't want to be part of this and get caught up in this nonsense, I feel for them. Yeah, I've seen the detransitioner stories. I'm good. I'm good. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, because you're too young to make these decisions. Although I'd rather someone, at least as far as this goes, I'd rather have someone sterilizing themselves than use abortion as contraception. You see some of the younger women are doing, but they're going to probably regret that too. Because you can change a lot from 20 to 25, from 25 to 30. They're going to hardcore regret that too. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm good. I mean, a lot of this stuff hurt. I mean, look at hookup culture. Hookup culture only benefits men. For the most part. There's very few downsides to hookup culture for men. But it's like all the negatives for women. So, why's my alarm going off? Well, I was bringing that up to a friend the other day. I was like, men reap all the benefits of it. So if women want to engage in it, it only kind of, they get a few upsides and basically all the negatives, whereas men get all the positives. The only thing now that men had to watch out for, the whole hookup culture thing. But it was like, what is the end goal of hookup culture? Is not don't get pregnant. Yeah, I agree. It's just hedonism, but the men benefit mostly from the hedonism. Women give up their bargaining chips in relationships. It attracts predatory men. the whole goal is don't get pregnant. That's the end goal. They're encouraged to just kill their kid. So if accidents happen, they'll just kill the kid. Then the men don't have to worry about their one negative, which is watching out for child support, or possibly, catching a false accusation. But that's rare. That's relatively rare. Those don't really happen. So it's like, yeah, I'm like, hookup culture is like men will reap the benefits, women reap the negatives. So I'm sort of like, I mean, if you have the dumb women that want to engage in it, okay, do you mean whatever? Have fun with your hedonism, but like I said, I'm not that person anymore. I won't do that anymore. So I'm avoiding the fun girls. It's frustrating that there are no consequences for men lacking character. I mean, usually the women could check that, but since usually they kind of like, what's the word? Sort of like I said, like this whole, waiting, get older first, or don't, F around with, fuck boys and stuff. Usually that kind of got pushed away. And they sort of like they were like, no, embrace your sexuality, do all this. Cause I remember I got like, I forget the subreddit I got banned on because this girl said she was upset because she said this kept happening to her, where she would send nudes to somebody. She would send nudes to somebody like only off of texting for a couple weeks, and then she'd always get ghosted after she felt like she connected with this dude. And what does she have to do to stop this from happening? And I was like, I just give you the brutally honest thing, like the brutally honest truth. Stop it. Don't give nudes to men you've known for 2 weeks, because any man, I was like, I guarantee you, all those men you sent it to, they were not only talking to you, they were lying. If they said that, they were lying. I guarantee you. So it's like because look at, like, I was like, if you do that, you attract predators, because look, if you're easy and they're gonna get it, right, and they can get it, and it's like, all right, target, easy, no problem. If you're like, no, not until I get some sort of commitment long term from you. If they're just a predatory men just looking to get the pictures, just to get the nudes or whatever, the videos, whatever, they're just gonna be like, and there's other women who are easy, I'm gonna move on. It's just simple, because I'm like, they're talking to more women. So if you just go, no, unless I get this, they're going to be like, whatever. And then I was the one that got banned saying, stop repressing her sexuality. And I was like, I'm not. I'm just saying, don't do this because it attracts predators or men who will do that. I'm like, I'm just telling you how predatory men think, because this is what they do. Like, if they're just looking for us, yeah, they can fake liking you through text for 2 weeks. It's not hard to do. Roosh V is now fun. Ew. Can we? No. I don't think we should claim him. We lost our bargaining chip in the relationship when pop culture became sexual. Now there's no reason to marry or date if you can just turn on the TV. Yeah, and having porn on the tap isn't exactly helpful either. Look, I engaged in being a bad kid in college. Leave me alone, okay? I said I don't do that no more. Hedonism can be appealing to fucking young men, okay? Which is why I say don't do it. It's not a good idea. It's not going to end well. Listen, if you're in an area where you can at least decently talk to people, and you're in a trade filled with socially awkward nerds, usually, you kind of get your pick of the women. You get your pick of the women. There's very little competition. I didn't follow the stereotype. I didn't follow the stereotype. I never said to be a fuckboy. I said I was just being a heathen. I said I was just being a heathen. I think those are different. You find out your friend does smash without protection. That's not good. You found out? Yeah, how'd you find that out? Unless you were talking with your boy. I need to know now. What were you doing? But yeah, you don't want to have that ability and be a young man. It's not usually a good it's usually not, especially in the culture we're in, it's usually not a good ending. Usually doesn't end well. I couldn't be a heathen as my mom worked in the same high school attending. We were very religious. That's not an excuse. That sounds like explaining. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I hope you're talking to Alchemist, because I didn't do nothing. I didn't say anything. I've been dating 5 years since you moved to the US. But don't even trip. I took a break for a while too to just work on getting that money. I just wanted to take a break for a while. I'm like just starting to get back into everything. Don't even trip about that. COVID slowed everything down. Fucking took a break. Fucking getting back into it. Game is like art. You got to keep practicing it or you'll start to get worse. You know what I mean? You've been telling them about child support in 18 years? Well, that's what they're going to catch. Some people you will never convince some people. Some people are just like that fucking stubborn. They're not going to learn. It's sort of like, I'm just saying, like, maybe they're ignorant. I don't know if they're ignorant, but you can't reason with ignorance. That's why I said the whole just don't get pregnant thing. Look, I get it. Ideally, I get it. Ideally, but they're going to be hoes. And hoes, it doesn't matter what you say. They're going to do this. Okay, I was about to say, I didn't say anything about any women. I hope they are all doing wonderful and they were all wonderful people. I may have been a bit of a degenerate, but I still followed the basic rule. I followed the basic just in case rule. Can I see myself marrying this person? That's the rule. Are you rich yet? I don't think so. I wouldn't say so. I don't know what rich counts as. My money's tied up right now in investments because I'm getting better at the day trade. Made a good friend, big time day trader. big time Dre, like moving like 40, 50K a day. He's teaching me all the stuff he knows. How to do the day trade. And I fucking love it. It's a fun job. It's just you have to learn to get your emotion out of it. And I'm working like, technically, even with day trade, I'm technically working 3 jobs. Because tomorrow morning, I didn't even write a lesson plan yet for tomorrow, man. I gotta go. I'm teaching tomorrow. I got a boxing class tomorrow. I'm teaching, and I didn't even do a lesson for tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be winging it. I'm just probably gonna make shit up. Because most of the classes are cardio. I only have a couple people that actually like really want to fight. Some people really want to fight. Some people just want to get cardio. And for people that just want to get in cardio, it's easy to make up a lesson on the spot. Yeah, that's why I don't waste my time with low-quality women. You know what's weird? You know what's weird when I start to get back into everything? Fucking, like, lefty SJW women like me. And I'm like, why? You realize I've gotten hit on quite a bit by them. I'm like, do you realize you're going to hate me the second I open my mouth, right? I am going to fucking piss you off. Yeah, I was going to finish up too. I was going to wrap up here. Because I got to be up. I got to be up at 6:30. Because I got to be at the gym and I got to go get all those fucking bags set up. Is that true? It's like SJW white women. Is that true? Do SJW white women just like light skin? Because usually SJW white women don't like black people. They usually like white people, even though they say they hate white people. I'm like, as soon as I open my mouth, you're going to call me every word you can think of. The second I say one thing, I'm going to hear racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, whatever. Oh, is it because light skin is safer? Is it because they hold that stereotype that light skin seems safer? That you're like, it's weird. I have a friend who is like almost same genetic makeup as me. Like in terms of same mix, but he got super black features. He got the super, like I got the white facial features. He got the black facial features. So he has like a much wider nose, way bigger lips and all that. But we're almost identical racially. Oh, I'm not threatening. I remember like I was like a study on OkCupid data. I remember saying that it said like if you're mixed to emphasize that you're part white because it'll help people undo negative bias against you. And I was just like, no, but thank you. I was like, if I have to do that to, if that's something you want me to do to attract more people, those extra people I don't want near me anyway. Because if that's their main incentive, that it's like, oh, you're less threatening, well, you're going to be disappointed. I grew up a certain area. This is my community. This is my people. And that comes first. That's why I said I've met plenty of nice white women that could have been wifey material, but then they kind of they weren't necessarily pro-black. So I was like, okay, we're not gonna go anywhere. Abercrombie black. So you're saying I'm trendy? So I'm one of those trendies. Compare Kevin Garnett to Stephen Curry. Oh yeah, okay. I know what you mean because I have a friend he's mixed black. Like his mom's His mom's ADOS. His dad is African, like Nigerian. He's dark. He's like really dark. So I know what you mean. If you compared us. So I guess I'm a designer black. I see. Is it because I got the white facial features because they came out pronounced on me? Oh, sorry. I remember dating a girl once who fetishized people who were of certain mixes, and I did not like that. Cool chick, though. Just not a fan of that. Light-skinned multi-generational mixed YouTube channels. Wait, do you mean they make channels about that? In what way? So you light-skinned? I know. Yeah, and I already have other I already got other, baggage that comes with that because everyone's always what's it called? Speculative of us because for some reason you have a tendency towards coonery with light-skinned, and I'm like making us look bad. Now I have to fight against that stereotype. No, but I've heard that before, sadly. I've heard that before, that it's like, that I've been told by other black people that it's like, you're lucky you came out light-skinned. I'm just like, I didn't see it as a kid. I didn't get it. As an adult, then I got it. They went to divest from Blackistan. Are we going to start our own small town just called Blackistan? We should do that. We need to think of a flag, though. We need to get a good flag. We should get, maybe our flag should be like ratchety. We can have a ratchety ghetto flag. Because we could probably come up with a cool design for that. We'll be stereotyped by the races, but fuck them, because we know that's not true. Colorism is real. I mean, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand when I was told, you're lucky you came out light-skinned. It's like, okay. But like I said, when I was a kid and was told that, I didn't understand what that meant. I understood it later. Your mom considered light-skinned in America, even though there's no European admixture. So you can be told you're one of the good ones. She was told she's one of the good ones or whatever. Because, yeah, I've heard that. Man, it's weird that you had to come up with a word for it. But then I was like, yeah, because you can't really classify it as racism necessarily. Because I remember when I first heard about colorism, I was like, that sounds stupid. But then I was like, but can we really put this under racism? I was like, maybe you could. Maybe you could. But you've seen this you've seen heavy in I know like Mexico, they do that. Mexico and India, they're really big on that. On making try to like bleach your skin, be as white as possible. I remember seeing, I think India had like ads for stuff to like, they're promoting stuff to make your skin lighter. That's bullshit though. I have met some gorgeous dark-skinned Indian women. See, that's the benefit of living in LA. You get to meet everyone here. Eugenics? I do not like eugenics. Enforced eugenics or like, hey, I'm not going to end up with an ugly chick because I don't want an ugly kid. That's different. That's something different. As far as eugenicists wanting to mix kids? Like, what kind of eugenicists? Because, like, the white nationalists are terrified of mixed kids. Because they don't like it because the black genes are dominant. And mixed is black. So they're, like, the white nationalist types. They're terrified of mixing. I remember there was that time. Let me see. Sydney McLaughlin just did a sub 51 second in the 400-meter hurdles. She's mixed race. What is just mixed race? Just making insanely strong children. That would explain my. So am I master race then? Because I was about to say, like, anytime you see, like, the white nationalist types, they're terrified of race mixing. Because they know the dominant genes and what their kids are going to look like and what their kids are going to be. I remember that one time, sort of a bunch of lefties kind of exposed themselves when someone said, eugenics, what's it called? I forget who it was. It was a British dude. He was saying eugenics would work on humans. And it would be perfectly an effective tactic on humans, but we don't do it because the concept is evil. Like enforced eugenics. They're like, we do it with all these other animals and it works fine. And then for some reason, like a bunch of lefties called him a white supremacist, and everyone's like, hold up. Why did you assume the perfect human would be white? They're like, you said it. Everyone's like, you said it, not me. I was like, you kind of snitched on yourselves. Imagine LeBron having kids with a high athletic Asian. You would have a huge kid who is super agile. According to some, the white gene is inferior as it can easily bred out over time. Dr. Francis Kress Welding did a lot of work in that regard. In regard of why the white genes are regressive and eventually would get bred out if given enough time. Or is that what you're saying? I don't even know where we are, bro. I just kept going. I was like, I don't even know where we are anymore. I just like stream of consciousness streams, which I like. Although if I was going to do stream of consciousness, I probably should have switched to gaming or something. After we were done with police brutality, I probably should have switched over to gaming. Kept it going. But see, I can't go to gaming. I have to be very careful because I wanted to play Fall Guys, but that game makes me fucking rage. And some of the stuff I say might get me banned on YouTube, so I have to be very careful. Because I remember playing games with my trainer. Yeah. I was playing games with my trainer, and I'm like, and we were recording it, and I was like, yeah, I got to do editing because we're going to get banned off YouTube. Maybe we should just go to Rumble. Yeah, this stream went way off in another direction. It was fun, though. Did you have fun? No, I'm not going to be Jesse Lee Peterson. Wow, it's after 9. I know you're on East Coast, but right here I was like, wow, it's after 9 already? Oh, Central? Oh, okay, you're Central. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna finish up. I wanted to do gaming, but I'm like, nah, if I don't have time now. Because like I said, I still didn't do a lesson for tomorrow. Oh, you down in Louisiana? I gotta be in shitty ass Cali. No, I'm kidding. Cali's not. All that media shit about how bad Cali is, it's only partially true. It depends where you go. Because Cali's pretty bitchin'. The weather's always nice. There's gorgeous women everywhere. Fucking most of the places are like very, luxurious in terms of landscape. The nature here is fantastic. But then you go downtown and you get to enjoy the bitter smell of piss and the sweet smell of crack cocaine everywhere. Actually, you go downtown, you can enjoy the smell up close because there's people literally in the sidewalk smoking crack. I saw people literally in front of officers smoking crack. And I was just like, that's funny. I mean, like, I'm libertarian on drugs. I just thought it was funny. Because the cops were watching a protest, but there was like a dude on the sidewalk right across the street smoking crack. And you could smell it because it's got that really sweet smell. And you're like, well, that's downtown. People will say, that's California. I'm like, no, that's downtown. Oh, poverty and bad roads, Louisiana. Depends where you go, too. What? I didn't say that he should be arrested for smoking crack. I just said it's funny. I just said I found it funny. If you wanna smoke crack, fucking dude looked like he was like in his 40s or 50s. I was like, okay, then smoke crack, whatever. I wish you wouldn't. I wish you get help for it. Maybe you shouldn't do it right in the middle of the sidewalk. I think that's a fair thing to say. Don't do it in the middle of the sidewalk. Because he was sitting like literally in the middle of the sidewalk. I think it's fair to police to say, can you please do it somewhere else? I don't want him getting arrested for it. Wait, they're going to ban loud music from cars? Well, I bet a lot of Hispanic communities are going to be mad because you ever spend a lot of time in there, they blare the music from their cars with the windows down. Because every time I'm down there, and I'm down in like the ghetto Hispanic communities a lot because I got friends who live there, so I'm down there like quite often. Oh my, yeah, they love their music. They love their music. So they'll like blare it out their windows, and then they'll just like park somewhere and just keep it going. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not a fan of it. Ninjas playing their music annoys me. Yeah, but in the Hispanic communities, they'll like stop. They'll like park and leave it on. And they'll just like go do something while leaving that shit on. Black communities are just driving by. But yeah, I don't like the people who do that. Or it's like the people who will do this shit, who like, they'll come in. I can't. This is more white people do this though. I don't really see black people. I see white and Asian people do this, where they'll play their music, and instead of having headphones like normal people, they'll be like this with their phone up to like their head. They'll be like holding it here, and they'll have a freaking loud ass speaker, and you're just like, shut up. Nobody cares. I don't care what kind of music it is. It's shit. Your music is shit to everybody else. That's a rule you should live by. I don't care what you say. Your music is shit to everybody else. Right? Nobody wants to hear my playlists. And I don't want to hear your playlist. Except whoever does the playlist on my gym, on Saturday mornings. I don't know who's in charge of that, but that is fucking fantastic. All right. Okay. I already know. I'm going to keep it going for too long. I'm going to keep this going for way too long. This stream has gone into who knows where. It's almost like the weird part of YouTube where you start somewhere and then you end up and you're like, how am I here? What was I looking up originally? You're like, I don't know. Is this okay? Because I gotta go fucking make a lesson plan for tomorrow before I forget. So I'm not as busy this week, so hopefully I can get more streams going. I prefer streaming over making videos. It's just more fun. It's because I had to take over. I'm working with somebody else on a day trading project, and then I also our gym's well, he's a Muay Thai guy that I train with, but we teach people like cardio boxing, kickboxing. He had to leave, and I took over for him. So I've been busy doing that, and now I'm going to be on that every day. They're going to bring me on every day as a boxing coach now, so I'm going to be doing that. So I've been busy with all that. That's why I didn't stream. And when I make videos, I have to edit and shit and upload and all that. So I try to, but I end up missing a lot of shit because I'm always running back and forth. This week I got more stuff to do, so hopefully actual shit happens. If not, at least get in gaming and try not to say things that will get me banned. So it's good seeing everybody. It's good seeing everybody. Good talks, everybody. Stay safe. Don't get shot. I'll see you later.